In the year 1996, a beloved video game mascot would make a groundbreaking first step into full 3D, in what would become a true showpiece for its developers' most cutting-edge hardware. For the first time ever, this mascot character would dash, punch, and jump his way from the 16-bit era into a bold new era of interactive video gaming. This title would continue to see play evolve into the modern day, and players have now pushed it further and played it faster than anyone could have ever expected upon the title's release. Yes, Sonic the Fighters is a cool video game. Over 25 years after its initial release, Sonic the Fighters is seeing what some say is a long overdue reevaluation, and a community of players, data miners, and artists are now pushing the long disregarded fighting game to new heights. While logistical challenges remain a hurdle to their growth, this community continues to host events, uncover techniques, and challenge the game's reputation as a shallow artifact of its time. With modern-day content creators giving the game a fair shake, the inclusion of STF's arcade version as a playable cabinet in Yakuza title Lost Judgment, and characters like Bark, Bean, and Fang even making appearances in new Sonic games, it feels like Sonic the Fighters is finally getting the respect it never quite had. Is this unique take on the 3D fighting genre created by one of gaming's most legendary development teams truly worthy of a competitive scene though? And if so, why does it seem like it took so long for it to happen? I spoke to 3 different generations of Sonic the Fighters players seeking answers and wisdom. This is what I learned.
Oh my god. No!
Our story begins in the mid-90s, when for home console and arcade machine manufacturer Sega, it was the best of times and the worst of times. Sega in the 32-bit era had an interesting predicament. Their home console business had popped off in the West with the help of one Sonic the Hedgehog, a system-selling rat creature who in 1992 was allegedly more recognizable to children than even Mickey Mouse. However, in Japan, where Sega's 16-bit console had been a commercial flop, this was not the case. Sega's arcade business was their claim to fame in Japan, and Virtua Fighter, developed by the legendary AM2 team, was the crown jewel in their arcade empire.
I don't think a lot of people in America realize, Virtua Fighter was the series. It was one of the biggest series in Japan. It had a huge, gigantic, female fan culture and stuff. Sega was pushing that so hard. Sega of America was Sonic and that's it. But in Japan, Virtua Fighter was Sega.
While VF thrived in the East, however, it struggled in the West. In the Americas and Europe, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and VF's most direct competitor Tekken hogged the spotlight. Sega's answer to this was Fighting Vipers, an offshoot of Virtua Fighter 2 with a unique armor mechanic and a hair metal vibe. But this game too would fail to compete with the genre's heavy hitters in the West. Then one day, Space Harrier, Outrun, Virtua Fighter, and later Shenmue mastermind Yu Suzuki met with colleague Hiroshi Kataoka about the prospect of the Virtua Fighter studio creating a Sonic the Hedgehog fighting game. A Reese's Peanut Butter Cup of arcade fisticuffs was conceived.
Hey, you got
Sonic
on my
VF.
You got
VF.
my
Sonic.
Hey, it's good. Really good. Yeah, I loved it.
A developer at Sega AM2 had already played with the idea of putting Sonic and his buddy Tails in Fighting Vipers, where they found that despite Sonic characters' stubby proportions, they could function and animate fluidly in a fighting game setting. Now, that proof of concept would become its own game. With the blessing of Yuji Naka, the development of Sonic the Fighters would begin soon on Sega's Model 2 arcade board, and according to some sources, the Sega Saturn. This game on the Sega Model 2 would feature 8 playable characters, including AM2 original characters Bark and Bean. Fun fact, the small round bump on the end of a duck's bill is known as the bean. Sonic the Fighters would apply VF's 3-button framework to a game that aimed for a less hardcore audience than the average fighting game, including women and children in its target demographic. Seeking to be a fighting game that could be anybody's first, the game would feature an art style that aimed at a less hardcore audience than the average fighter, even using a patented squash and stretch animation system to allow its Mickey Mouse-esque characters to move with the elasticity of a 1940s cartoon.
The graphics were impressive for the time, and I think that the animations in that game just really hold up. I mean, it's got, you've probably seen it yourself how cartoony, like, all the slapstick hits that are in that game, like the characters just stretching out. Even just looking at the game from an artistic standpoint, it's a pretty beautiful game.
In June of 1996, the game would be released into Japanese arcades. A month later, it would see a limited North American release under the name Sonic Championship, and then it languished in obscurity. According to Japanese magazine Game Machine, and as cited by Wikipedia, the month after Virtua Fighter 2 released, it was the most popular arcade game in Japan. The month after Fighting Vipers released, it was the most popular arcade game in Japan. In comparison, the month after Sonic the Fighters released in Japan, it was the country's 13th most popular arcade game. And it doesn't seem like the game would maintain that popularity afterwards either. SDF was certainly unpopular by Sega AM2's sky-high standards in Japan, but its release in the West was barely acknowledged at all, to the point where many would mistakenly believe in the coming years this arcade version of Sonic the Fighters was never even given a North American release.
I know Sonic the Fighters was even rare in Japan, but like it was even more rare in the States. Like there are not many cabinets brought here at all.
Virtua Fighter 1 and 2 and Fighting Vipers had supported healthy competitive scenes. Heck, Virtua Fighter 5 remains a big fighting game in Japan to this day. But STF would see no documented competitive scene in its arcade heyday in any region. Eventually, time would pass. A whole new generation of Sonic fans would come into the series in the coming years, largely unaware of this strange arcade offshoot. One of these fans, who goes by the name Gizaru, would learn of the game on the internet in the early 2000s, although he had no way to play it.
7th grade, I started making Sonic fan games, and that's when I first heard of the game through Shenmue.
100 yen each. Maybe just one.
I'm pretty sure Bean and Fang are both in Shenmue as one of the gotchas.
Hey, what's this?
Back then, emulation wasn't very good, so I wasn't able to play it until Gems Collection came out.
I'm sure that the Sonic Gems Collection is probably how 99% of the Western world even found out that this game existed, honestly. I mean, that's how I found out,
9 years after it first came out, Sonic the Fighters would see its first widespread Western release in 2005 on the GameCube in North America and on the GameCube and PS2 in PAL regions as one of the 3 main titles in Sonic Gems Collection, an anthology title that also featured Sonic CD and Sonic R. It was here that many players would first discover the game.
And my first exposure to this game in particular was the Gems Collection.
I would say the first time I ever played the game was whenever I was a kid. I had the Sonic Gems Collection on the GameCube.
Well, surprise, surprise. Yeah, I started with the Gems Collection.
Gems Collection came out. I had a few friends who were willing to play it with me, so started playing a couple of times a week.
Oh my gosh.
Me and the people who played regularly, we were already into competitive fighting games. So trying this one out just kind of came natural to us. And we also had already played Bloody Roar Primal Fury.
Round 1. Get ready.
I feel like that game series actually shares a lot in common with Sonic the Fighters. So I think that kind of made it easier for a lot of the group to get involved because they've already played a fairly similar game.
While Giza and his friends took to Sonic the Fighters, most Western game critics in 2005 saw the title as little more than a simplistic Virtua Fighter knockoff.
Sonic the Fighters is a watered-down Virtua Fighter clone that has never been released in America before. Turns out we weren't missing much.
Of all the reviews of the game at the time, it's nobody understood it. nobody understood like how the game was supposed to be played, and they had misconceptions. I think mostly because the CPU is so bad.
Playing Sonic the Fighter's arcade mode, players would find a game that could be beaten almost entirely by spamming one button. But when played between players who understood the principles of fighting games and had explored the game's sizable move list, the title's greater depth would start to reveal itself. So what is that depth, and how does Sonic the Fighters actually work? Here's a quick synopsis. As stated earlier, Sonic the Fighters is a 3-button game, having a button devoted to kicks, a button devoted to punches, and a third button devoted to blocking damage. Motion inputs and combinations of buttons can be used to execute combo strings, special moves, and grabs, with each character having access to a fairly sizable move list, although many attacks are shared between characters. The game's special moves may be where it differs most obviously from Virtua Fighter. Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Espio can all do spin dashes, for example, and Fang, Bean, and Amy all have access to projectiles, something that was still fairly uncommon in the 3D fighters of STF's era.
I really enjoyed playing as Amy because the type of projectile and control that she has in Sonic the Fighters is something that I was looking for in 3D fighting games at the time, and there's like a lot of the 3D fighting games did not have a lot of projectile characters. When I go into games, I kind of think like, oh, what kind of new mechanics are going on here? How can they play out? How can they be improved upon? And I actually think Sonic the Fighters, it actually does implement projectiles into the game pretty well. Like, they're not overpowered, but they also don't feel useless.
Sonic characters' cartoonish proportions make blocking look awkward if done in the same way that most traditional fighting game characters do it. So as a workaround, Sonic the Fighters uses a system where blocking is done through the use of what is called barriers. You cannot do chip damage to a blocking player who uses these barriers or poke through them like in Smash, but you can grab blocking players as well as break barriers. Each player has only a finite supply of barriers, and by default, these shields do not regenerate between rounds. In essence, this means that blocking in Sonic the Fighters can carry more risk than in many games, and can only be done a certain number of times, especially when some characters like Sonic and Bark can make several of them evaporate in the blink of an eye. Barriers are not the game's only defensive option, however. By pressing all 3 of the game's main buttons together, players can initiate a sidestep. During this sidestep, players are invulnerable for a number of frames, and players can attack out of sidestep as well, making it a strong tool for avoiding hits but also finding them. This input of all 3 buttons can also be used to tech strong hits, allowing players to make a safe landing instead of being put into knockdown after being impacted by a hard-hitting move. You can also dodge hits by crouching or by jumping. Sonic the Fighters has no meter for using super moves, but by expending one barrier, players can choose to enter Hyper Mode, a temporary state in which characters can perform attacks much more quickly with minimal lag, allowing them to either hit combos or pressure on block effectively. This mode even gives characters additional moves that can only be used when Hyper Mode is activated, like Bean's Warp and Bark's Hyper Lariat. The trade-off here is that attacks used while in Hyper Mode do less damage, making it a risky maneuver to pull off.
It seems both really broken and really terrible at the same time, which makes it kind of like a really interesting trade-off.
I know I did a lot of practice of it with Bean, but unfortunately our main Bean player was always hesitant to use it. He always felt like it was better to keep his shield than try to go for one of the combos. Probably the player that used it the most was Nico Tim, just because he found some simple setups with Bark. Bark is probably the easiest character to get into using the hyper mode with, because he can get a lot out of it. With Bark, you can use it, you can do the lariat, and then it threatens a grab. So people try to guess whether or not you're grabbing or jabbing or doing another lariat, because the lariat has like no cooldown. So as long as you know that simple 50-50, then you're probably going to use it a couple of times a match.
Obviously, it seems busted because your moves are basically lagless, so it's, like you said, it's extremely easy to link into moves, and in a lot of cases it's really easy to link the same move into itself, so you can sort of just loop it until the timer runs out. The downside is that that said timer is pretty strict. You don't actually have a lot of time in hyper mode to make things work, So it's sort of like a Jungian agent, where it's like if you get hit, you're probably not going to make use of it at all. Like you really got to make sure that your activation is at a good time.
There's one more mechanic we're going to have to talk about.
If we had the chance to remove it, we really would.
Sonic the Fighters is generally a faster game than Virtua Fighter or Fighting Vipers, and its short round timer and limited barriers makes it incentivize aggressive play. But there's one more controversial element to the game that also encourages aggression. Similar to what is seen with Tekken's Rage mechanic, Sonic the Fighters has something its players call catch-up, an adjustable mechanic that makes characters do more damage when they are behind in the game, sometimes by a significant margin. This mechanic means that players who are behind in health always have the opportunity to win the round, more or less, although many have also bemoaned it as making the game overly random in what it rewards.
It's silly, but it's just part of the game. But again, we really owe it to those early players like Giza and his crew playing on Gems Collection, because they were the people that were willing to believe in a game with such a silly mechanic much before the rest of us did.
I tried posting guides online to try to get some people into playing the game, mostly on Street Fighter forums and then a few Sonic forums, but I have to say Sonic fans do not seem to like the game very much.
For the first 2 years after Gems Collection's release, Giza and his crew would continue to develop their skill, and seeking to grow the title's competitive player base, Giza would write guides and tier lists on web forums, upload footage of friendly sessions to the internet, and eventually even host a few events in the San Diego area.
I started hosting a few tournaments at my high school. I think the largest one there was only like 20 players. A lot of the people at the tournament weren't very good. Although with the one with 20 people, I think the person who came in second place was not someone that I played with regularly. He was just someone who I know he played Street Fighter, but I didn't know him very well at the school, and he just was able to play a really good Knuckles.
These attempts to build interest in the title would struggle to gain too much traction, however. Gems Collection was a game that sold modestly on a fairly unpopular last-gen console with no online play. And on top of that, it was a Sonic game at a time when public opinion of the series was at one of its lowest points ever. Also, Gems Collection's version of Sonic the Fighters wasn't even a very good port.
Gems Collection has like a slight input delay that the other versions don't.
It's got an issue. I think it's like 4 frames of delay or something like that.
For various reasons, then, Giza's hopes of building a consistent local scene would never really come to fruition. And soon, he would go off to college and find that he preferred modding video games to playing them. While many of the kids who owned Gems Collection had now been exposed to Sonic the Fighters and even honed their skills a little, these players would mostly be isolated from one another for the next 5 years. But in time, they would find that they're not alone in the world.
Oh wow. I wasn't expecting that question. That's a fun question.
One of these people would be a Sonic main who played under the tag Chronikaze.
So, I'm not gonna lie to you, my first game, I've always played fighting games on a very casual level growing up. Mortal Kombat was exposed to me when I was really, young. Street Fighter 2, pretty much. But, you just... When you're playing a fighting game, there's no real need to, take it seriously, I don't think. Sonic the Fighters is one of the few games where I was like, I'm gonna learn every single move on this giant-ass move list. And, I thought I was cool in my room doing arcade mode, but, you're young, you don't have, people to play with, I feel like you don't know that you have competitive drive in you until something brings it out in you, and I think that goes for people who play Smash or any fighting game. Their start is, I'm pretty sure it's usually from a rivalry. It's gotta be. And for me, it was when Marvel 3 came out. My best friend Anthony, who's definitely on my channel somewhere, he was a very smug little obnoxious person. He would win all the time. He beat everybody in school, everybody in the Xbox lobby. So it's you know what? I wanna beat this guy. I wanna take this game seriously. I wanna learn stuff. So Marvel 3 came and went, started playing BlazBlue. I just started playing fighting games from there. Third Strike, right after that, everything else took off. Yeah, and for Sonic the Fighters, the HD version, a collection was teased. I remember the Twitter post. I remember I was freaking out that I was screaming at my friend over the phone, like, dude, Sonic the Fighters is on Xbox Live. We bought it immediately. We were playing.
In October of 2012, Sega would announce the Model 2 collection, a series of accurate digital PS3 and Xbox 360 re-releases of Fighting Vipers, Virtua Fighter 2, soccer title Virtua Striker, mech battle game Virtual On, and Sonic the Fighters. The re-released fighting games would come complete with the addition of online play. And in the case of Sonic the Fighters, that game's re-release would also include playable versions of boss characters Eggman and Metal Sonic, as well as Honey the Cat, a cute cat version of a Fighting Vipers character, who was cut from Sonic the Fighters during development. This port is now considered by many to be the definitive version of the game.
It was a rare moment where a re-release of a game made for me came out.
It was big. It was a big deal for me and some of my real life friends. And I was like, guys, we got to hop on this. We got to like be the best and get the top of the leaderboard.
For the first time ever in Western markets, a mass audience was now able to play STF with other players. And players would soon rush online to see who could be on top of the game's PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 leaderboards.
The anxiety was high. Like, you gotta just show your dominance, that you're the best Sonic player or the best Bean player or whatever.
It was just like a race for the leaderboards because the ranked mode in Sonic the Fighters is like not the ranked mode. It's just like you get 4 points for winning and you get 1 point for losing. So it was just an absolute grind.
For player Matt Beach, then known under the name Snick Ed, playing Sonic the Fighters online was quickly an eye-opening experience. Growing up, Beach had gotten into Sonic the Fighters through Sonic Gems Collection, playing exclusively against his brother.
Tim and I were always like really competitive as kids. We're best friends now, but as little kids, we had a pretty strong rivalry against each other since we were close in age. You know, we were always being compared with grades, whatever. So when it came to video games, it's like, all right, this is like the showdown. Like, I need to figure out how to win. So that was just one of those games where it's like we're always trying to like dig up and like come up with like new strategies to beat each other. So that sort of like intuitively led into wanting to figure out more about the game and like learn about it.
By the time the game's HD port had released, Matt Beach had taught himself a lot about Sonic the Fighters, but there was still more to learn.
I was definitely prepared. Like, I had a good knowledge of the meta. I watched all of like Giza's videos from like the 2000s. So I was well attuned to like the basic idea, but I'll never forget that not my first match was just somebody who was playing for the first time. But my second match was against somebody who was, I think, second on the leaderboards at that time. I've been playing this guy, and he, for the first time ever, so every character has like a universal body splash, where it's like you hold up on the control stick or the arcade stick, D-pad, whatever you use, and then you press punch, kind of like a smash input, and the character just like jumps up on you. But Sonic in particular, if your opponent's in a hard knockdown, if you do the body splash and then you do a half circle forward and punch, he does a follow-up spin attack. And I'd literally never seen it before at that point. Not once, not ever. Not in any of the videos I'd seen online, not in any of my labbing, none of that. And we ended up playing a full best of 5, and I won it on the 5th game. I was just so like floored. I was just like, this is somebody that knows what they're doing and is doing something I'd never seen before. And I think that was the moment that I got hooked to like keep playing. I was like, all right, there's clearly a lot more to learn about this game, and I want to see like what other nonsense is like hiding here that I haven't seen before.
It was friendly, it was tight, it was small, and it was loving. But there was definitely like, you got to show you're the best, you know. It was definitely there. It was definitely there.
Ladies and gentlemen, well, as you can see, the name of my opponent, his name is Too Strong. Now, I was shocked at this name, so I had to record this. I wanted to know like, who is this person? And I'll just watch what happens. I mean, okay, see, I won the first round. Just watch what happens in the next few rounds. Look what's gonna happen. Oh, okay. Now I was pretty confident here. I had a feeling I was gonna win until something strange started to happen. Yeah, I just got Uncle Phil there. He tossed me out just like Jazz. See, look, I tried to grab him there. I don't know what happened. All I know is he bodied me. He double perfected me, and I just feel embarrassed. Now, after the match, I received a little message from him, and right now this is the message he sent me. What the fuck?
With North American players interacting with one another so much more than ever before, connections would form and tier lists would be theorized. Soon, an egg-laying mammal would cement its role as the title's top critter.
I know that at one point I was really interested in learning Knuckles because I like winning in video games, and I knew even like in the 2000s it was very, very obvious he was the top tier. Like everybody could tell.
I think back then most of us considered Knuckles to be at least easier to play.
The top tier is for sure. It'll always be Knuckles, without a doubt.
Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic are like Ryu, Ken, and Shawn. But Knuckles is Akuma, because he does a lot of damage.
He's god tier, actually.
Like, it doesn't take any skill. Oh, wow, nice. It doesn't take any skill to use it. Look at this.
Knuckles is great at just about everything Sonic the Fighters prioritizes. Aggressive play, sidestepping, and spinning to win. His glide and spin attacks are great specials, but his sidestep might in fact be his best tool.
I don't know if you've ever seen top level Knuckles play, but they will use sidestep to absolutely just hone in on you from across the stage, and it happens very quickly to the point where you almost won't be expecting it.
With sidesteps being harder to handle in the lag of online play, Knuckles quickly cemented himself as Sonic the Fighter's best character, at least in the online metagame.
Even though Joe's just strafing and punching, and that's all you need to win, even if you change it up like trying to do what I'm doing, after a while, it's taxing on your barriers and your health.
Oh, damn, nice.
Knuckles is great, but Sonic the Fighter's titular character is arguably just as strong. Sonic's rushdown game makes him a constant threat, and players who block against him will often inevitably lose multiple barriers in the process.
Sonic has a move that breaks up to 3 barriers but does very little damage. He tends to do this to finish off opponents, forcing them to choose barriers or the round.
He is a great character. Yeah, that shield breaking shit, that was the meta for Sonic.
With all this established, the meta was far from dominated by its top tiers. Even characters who were generally seen as weaker, like Bark the Polar Bear and Amy Rose, had notable players.
Obviously, there's been like other players, like Rax 8 was like a really, really strong Bark player at the time. Definitely at one point, I would say like just the best player period for at least a short period of time.
Oh, this is gonna be killed. No, it's not gonna be killed. Oh!
I started with Sonic because I felt like, Bark was always my main, but I was like, I don't know, it feels like a little too slow for me to actually do this on human players. But after a while, I was just like, you know what, let's just do it. Like, I love this character, he's so much fun. His throws are like super satisfying. Like that throw where he just like folds you up and throws you into a wall like a bowling ball, that was the one where I was just like, oh, this is my character. I'd make like little bowling jokes back when I was like playing it with friends and stuff. I'd be like, strike! Get another strike. That's the second. Get the third, but oh, it's a turkey.
I kind of see the characters in this game as sort of different flavors of the same mold. And that's not to say that they all play the same. Obviously, they all play totally differently, but they feel all built with the intention of the game's core mechanics in mind. It was like the developers started with the mechanics and then they built the characters around that. And I think that leads the game to be balanced enough to where everybody can hang and everybody can win. Sometimes in less honest ways than others, but you do what you can around here.
Hey, this is Brandon Laverne, aka Kronikazi, Staffmaster 123, whatever. I have decided to host a Sonic the Fighters tournament just because I love the game and I thought it'd be cool.
Sonic the Fighters had been released on HD consoles at the end of November 2012. From there, it wouldn't be long before Xbox 360 Sonic main Kronikazi would host this version's first competitive event, Tournament Zone.
I think it was after the community was very well established, and we already had like our little group of friends that like we like to play with. We were just like, oh, let's have a tournament. Let me make a challenge bracket. I think we had like a month advance of prep, and I bought myself a capture card. It was basically get in this lobby, all right, get into Xbox voice call, and we're just gonna like play match by match by match.
All right, welcome to Sonic the Fighters Tournament Zone, the first ever online Sonic the Fighters tournament. I'm your host, Kronikazi, and this is my co-host,
X.
Kronikazi had never entered, much less hosted, a fighting game tournament before, so he would run Tournament Zone with a rule set wholly unique to the event. In a nod to the Sonic series, this tournament would have 3 acts, with each act eliminating players until Act 3, at which point there would be 4 remaining players who would then be whittled down to 2, and finally 1 winner.
We were idiots, we were hyped, we were yelling, we were hyped up on something. I don't even think I had an energy drink, but we were just all hyped up on the invisible energy drink that's just like the love of the game.
And he picks him up. This could be game point.
Got the goal!
Oh! Air recovery is going high! Oh my God! California!
The event would be run fairly strictly by modern standards, as the entire tournament ran on single elimination, with no redemption bracket for those who lost sets, and until the final phase, Act 3, sets were also ran as best of 1, with factors like whether barriers regenerated between rounds and how long the timer ran adjusted between acts. Nonetheless, it would proceed smoothly, with its 18 entrants eventually being whittled down to only 2. Rocket Niter was a Fang player ranked 2nd on the game's leaderboard at the time, and Boba Jango Fett was an Espio main ranked 4th. These players were both using characters who could be described as defensive zoners in Sonic the Fighters, which might come as a surprise, but in a way, this archetype dominated the top cut of Tournament Zone's bracket. Act 3's top 4 placing players included Rocket and Boba, but also X-Ampharos X, who played the bomb-throwing Bean, and Ray the Boy, who had played Sonic and Amy in the tournament as well, but chose to play the Espio mirror against Boba.
So I suppose Espio can only be another Espio?
As for the 2 players who would be competing in finals, Boba had gone through his opponents by mostly backing away from them, using Espio's long-range tongue attacks, baiting grabs, and then extending punishes with Espio's chop, a move fast enough to link into itself against antsy opponents. Espio's tongue put the burden of approaching largely on his opponents, many of whom were still getting used to Sonic the Fighter's mechanics. On the other side of the bracket, Boba's Grand Finals opponent Rocket Niter understood that Fang's projectile game could be applied aggressively, but he was just as comfortable hanging out in the corner of the stage and using Fang's quirks to lock his opponent down. Or to simply hold block, stand in place, and wait for his opponent to make a mistake so he could get an easy grab. He was also one of the few players to actually explore the potential of utilizing the walls that surround each arena, climbing up them and jumping at times to escape from opponents.
He's climbing up the wall. Oh, was that some sort of getting out?
When these 2 players collided, what resulted was something that at times looked like a game of chicken. Game 1 went back and forth, but by its 4th round, with the help of Espio's spin attack, Boba had depleted all of Rocket's barriers.
Get the grab! This is it!
2-2, but without barriers, I don't know how much you can do.
Yeah.
Rocket would start round 5 with no barriers at all. For Boba, this meant that once he was able to get a knockdown on his opponent, there was little Rocket could do but take additional hits from afar from Espio's tongue. Unable to avoid the tongue in the corner, Rocket was provoked to go in for an approach, but this only got him grabbed. Boba soon took game 1.
Misses the... doesn't get the grab! Can he pull it through?
He's on! There it is!
In game 2, Rocket would bait aggressive options from his opponent, but ultimately find victory by hanging back and shooting his gun. He would do so without losing a round.
Ooh, misses the spin dash.
You know what it is? It's because Espio's strafe attack doesn't break barrier. Fang!
Oh! Misses it!
Oh! They made it completely tied right now.
Whoever took game 3 would now win the tournament, so in that game, both players decided to make things as hard as possible for the other to win. Soon, rounds would start ending in timeouts instead of knockouts.
He moves here. I don't know why he's doing it. I think he's gonna wait for time to run out.
Coming out.
Because Espio doesn't do anything.
Get in there. Ooh, there it is.
And Espio's gonna play it zoning right now, no matter what shot.
He should have shielded out. Wait for the time to go down. If he's going in.
He's waiting for a strafe opportunity. He misses it. Fang goes around.
There it is.
Oh!
By round 4 of game 3, the 2 were both all but hugging the walls as they attempted to poke at their opponent with their long-range options. Ultimately, it was the Fang player Rocket whose patience would bear thin. An unsafe missed body splash follow-up would open him up for a KO, taking the game to round 5. Then, in that round, the Fang player's clumsy use of hyper mode to try to break another stalemate would end with his character being thrown and nearly out of health.
That's cool for you, Tony.
He's gonna play. Who's gonna grab first? This is it.
It's the time. Oh, here it is.
Boba wins. He messes up Rocket.
Oh my God, there it is. Espio gets it.
Sonic the Fighter's first HD-era tournament would finally come to an end, with Sonic and Knuckles choking on the dust of far more obscure characters. Boba Jango Fett, the SBO player, had won the event in a last game, last round set.
That was total freaking hype, dude. That was like one of the best online matches I ever had, and that was the best match I ever had with this SBO man right here.
Okay, alright. The thing is, though, again with me, the best game I've ever had. You were amazing with Fang, and we've always like had a little rivalry. You owe me on the second round, and I was like, damn, I've got to put all my in. My favourite move was definitely when I shot you with your own gun, and that needed to be done.
In a game that is often characterized by its aggression, Boba and Rocket had played two characters known for their ability to play at a distance, via SBO's tongue and Fang's gun. These two players' more defensive playstyles meant that many matches even ended on timeouts. Was this optimal Sonic the Fighters? Well, the Xbox 360 bracket really only told half of the story of what was happening in the game at this time. Sonic the Fighter's PlayStation 3 version did not share servers with its 360 counterpart, even as both games were effectively identical. As a result, both games' small communities would develop their own metagame.
Yeah, there wasn't really that much overlap between the two, mostly because, it's just how consoles work. You either had one or the other. Gameplay over on Xbox, when I saw, was a little bit more, it was a little bit slower, a little bit more contemplative, I would say. Like, trying to integrate a little bit more of honest, fighting game footsies, I guess, to put it, bluntly. They obviously acknowledged that, the top tiers were the offensive characters, but you still saw a lot more zoners. One of their best players was playing Fang, whereas PS3, we were all just trying to mash harder than the opponent. I do think that kind of school of thought of just, going for the offense, kind of, foregoing a more honest 3D fighter, especially, a Virtua Fighter kind of a play style, is the way to go.
The Xbox 360, Xbox Circle, they think they are... They think they're smart and shit. We ain't doing geometry. We try to play some games.
The aggressive PlayStation playstyle would be showcased in Chronicasi's second tournament, Black Emerald Cup, in August of 2013. There, 8 months after Tournament Zone, a trend-setting Sonic player called Monkey DBJ would show his meta-defining stuff.
I can say with a lot of certainty that the best player, at least on the PS3 side, probably across all platforms, at least at some point, was probably Monkey DBJ.
Oh, just so much reading going on here. I didn't know we were in a damn library. Here we go.
Oh, okay. We getting knowledge today. We got them books.
Let's kill.
I don't know where he came from. I don't know how he came up with his gameplay idea, but he just reinvented the wheel on several metagame developments. Even things that people thought were bad options, he just would make them work, and he would be like, actually, this is really good. You should do this, and he would just totally steamroll everybody. And at that point, it was very, very clear. It's all right, this is the best player.
Here we go. Get the grab. Oh, missed it. Oh, that volley toss, I tell you.
Oh, I know what he was going for there. He didn't.
And holy! Oh, he was there as an anti-air?
He definitely, I would say, innovated the round start metagame. This might be a little bit more of an esoteric comparison, but Marvel vs. Capcom 2. In that game, round start could mean the end of the whole match. You can position yourself before it, and it's as a result, the whole metagame is kind of revolved around round start in Marvel 2. While consequences aren't as severe in STF, you're still contemplating all of your opponent's options in round start, and that definitely started, I think, at least with Monkey DUJ. He started off every single match for a while by just opening with Sonic Sweep, and it was because of the way that round start has the opponent spaced out, it would be safe if you blocked it, and it would break a barrier, or it would hit you, and then it would give you a wall bounce. He was going to get in your face either way. So people adapted by jumping over it, and then he counter-adapted by starting to lead with jump kicks. You're essentially playing around each other and playing around the trends at the time.
Monkey DBJ did more than just start matches at an advantage, however. Once he got an opening, he knew how to extend it. Sonic the Fighter's safe landing option allows players to get out of launchers seemingly scot-free. But realizing that he could anticipate these safe landings, the Sonic main began to develop counterplay.
You can sort of tech in midair, you can flip out in multiple different directions. And he was one of the first people to not only read that and punish it like really, really hard, like go for a dedicated combo literally just to punish like a flip out. But he would also do it like sometimes if you flip out by a wall, you would bounce off the wall. And he had like a specific setup to punish that exact interaction.
Monkey has been unbeatable right now. I'm kind of rooting for him because that's my man.
Right here. Another bob and weave. Here we go.
In his run at Black Emerald Cup, Monkey DBJ would cruise through the winner's bracket without dropping a game, taking a 2-0 victory over Super Sonic Speed 3 in winners finals. The two would later rematch in grand finals for a best-of-5 first-to-3 set. And in the first game of this set, Monkey would be taken to last round. And then, with a sliver of health, Super Sonic Speed 3 would take the game.
Oh!
And then, this happened.
No, we're not doing it like that.
In other news, Ditto Sonics. No punch kicks everywhere.
That's because that's Sonic's most solid normal.
That volley toss is just beast-like. Volley toss. Oh my god, look at that move.
All day.
Fucking fast.
Like whenever you're in a fix, just volley toss.
Exactly, just.
Hey, you know what? It was a good thing Sonic won. If you didn't win that strafe didn't freaking go through. That didn't register.
And
oh my god, he's good. Oh my
god.
Wow.
That was solid.
Yeah.
Monkey DBJ has gone ape. He is pounding his chest. He is Donkey Kong. He is bonkers right now.
Oh, he's gonna get it.
Breaking
yeah.
Super Sonic, don't let it in like this. This is finals. You gotta keep it hype, man.
Fine. Where's the catch up?
Oh.
He's got all the catch up he needs. He tried going for a cross up.
What's he doing? Oh!
That was it.
Oh,
why would you do that?
No, he's done. He's done.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, why'd you do it?
Oh,
okay.
Did you tournament point? Point.
This is what Monkey is really good at. He's really good at reading you like a book. He's incredible at it.
Reads again. He is. Oh my god.
Man.
Oh! Couldn't do anything.
Wow.
Monkey had won the set 3-1, showing his dominance at the end of the tournament with 7 straight rounds over Super Sonic Speed 3. But his work wasn't done yet. He would follow up on his victory by playing exhibition games against Rax 8, the game's best Bark, Chronikaze, the Xbox 360 version's representative at the event, and Snick Ed, a player now known as Matt Beach, who ran a Sonic the Fighters message board. Monkey DBJ would quickly dispense of all 3.
Oh, this is it. This is where all the reading comes from. He got his library card.
I like doing like sets compared to just first to ones, but at the same time, you know, I won't take anything away from him. He was good.
Oh! Oh!
I will say there was like one point in that match where I did like the bowling throw into the corner into the air kick, which I was working on. So getting that in an actual match, that was a feels good, man.
God, yo, I don't even think I'm ready. I'm done.
Monkey DBJ's victory here still did not represent a total domination of the STF scene. The tournament did have a number of players who did not make it in time to compete, including Sonic CD 1993, who at the time may still have been the game's best player. But with Black Emerald Cup, which was recorded by Chronikaze and archived on YouTube, the Sonic player would leave a lasting mark as, for years, the winner of the last recorded Sonic the Fighters tournament. Another event called Tournament Zone Encore had been announced in April, but would seemingly never occur, or at least never finish. And as the 7th generation of game consoles reached their twilight years, the game's servers would grow quieter and quieter. Soon, many of the players who had defined this era too would move on to newer games and newer platforms.
The Xbox Live and PS3 versions at their peak, I would say, lasted maybe like 2 years almost. Maybe barely under 2 years, I would say.
After the Black Emerald, most people stopped playing because they just lost interest in the game.
Once the PS4 kind of dropped, that's when, you know, we saw less and less of me playing it because obviously it was only on PS3. Monkey, I'm not sure, honestly. Dude just kind of disappeared.
Chronikaze would make one last attempt to grow the game in 2015, with a video titled Sonic the Fighters is Competitive, Here's Why.
Okay, let's get something straight here. I'm defending this game on the basis of it being a fighting game, not a Sonic game. I'm here to explain why this game is great and why it means a lot to me. Wouldn't anime fighter fans or Smash Brothers fans do something similar?
This video would get some attention, but the online scene for the game was still drying up. And for the players who would come late to the HD version, they would often find empty servers awaiting them.
Sonic R actually was, I got into that one fairly early, but I was not too huge on Sonic the Fighters at the time.
One of these players who would come late to the HD version was a Mortal Kombat and Jammer Lammy enthusiast who goes by the name of Trukuu. Trukuu had played Sonic the Fighters in his childhood, but had at the time preferred 2D fighters like the classic Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter games. Rediscovering Sonic the Fighters in college through Gems Collection in 2017, his opinion on the game suddenly changed.
And I played on the GameCube version with my roommate, because I was already in college at this point. And we started to have some fun with it, and I went in there and I just started going through the moves and checking out all the different properties and stuff. And I started to realize pretty quickly that, you know, there's a lot more to this game than most people are talking about. Sonic the Fighters, I mean, I don't even feel any issues with, like, any of the movement or anything. It just feels natural to me, like it just plays like butter. I saw that there was a PlayStation 3 release of it, so I decided to go in and get it. I would say this was around like late 2017, 2018, around that area. It wasn't very active, but ranked mode had this setting where basically if you set to play a ranked match, it would just search for people, just indefinitely until it finds someone, right? So what I started doing is I would just set up the PlayStation 3 to search for matches and ranked while I did other things like study or homework or whatever, And every time I connected to somebody, I would play them, and I'd play them until they, would go away, or, they just wasn't anybody left to play anymore, and then I'd go back to doing what I was doing. Anytime I'd play somebody, if they were even, like, remotely decent, win or lose or whatever, I'd always try to send them a friend request, so I could keep in touch with these people. And I eventually looked online, and I found Chronicrossy, his old scene, and their tournaments, and I went and checked out the Sonic the Fighters forums, which were pretty much defunct at that point, but there was somebody that had made a Discord server in the comments of one of the YouTube videos, and I joined that. That was my first experience really being involved with a community with them, and there was a offline event that was happening in Mentor, Ohio, and it was ran by these two guys, these TOs, Frosty and the Loser, and I believe it was a part of the esports group they were running for their college. And they had other games there, like Mario Tennis Aces and the Super Smash Brothers. I think it was 4 at the time. So I decided me and the GF would just make like a vacation out of it.
In June of 2018, Trukuu would drive 12 hours to one of Sonic the Fighter's first competitive events in years. At least part of his motivation to make this trek was to prove a point.
Part of why I went up there was not just because I wanted to play in an offline Sonic the Fighters event, and I guess this is kind of petty in a way, but I thought it was funny. There was no hard feelings or anything. But the person that ran the Sonic the Fighters Discord, the first one I was in, had pretty much never played against actual people before, and we were talking about like tier list stuff and like character matchups, and he kept like downplaying Amy a lot, To this day, I don't think she's a bad character, but they kept wanting to put her like really low on the tier list and everything, and I just didn't really agree with that, right? So this person that ran the Discord also lived in Ohio, right? So the plan was that the Discord owner was going to show up to this tournament, and I was going to show up and play Amy the whole time. My plan was to play Amy and win the whole thing.
Trukuu's Amy went on a tear through the event, winning round-robin sets against Troglodyte, Rizzy Diz, Frosty, and Loser. Unfortunately, the Discord server owner, who he had hoped to take down most at the event, never showed.
The night before, right, I had just arrived into the state, and I got my hotel room, and I was sitting there, and I got a notification on my phone, and I checked it. He's saying that he wasn't going to be there. He had like something going on for his birthday or whatever, which like I don't really, like I said, no real like hard feelings or anything. It's probably just, anyway, I thought it was just going to be a hoot, and it was, but it would have been better, if like everybody would have showed up that I thought was going to.
From thereafter, Trukuu would go on to host more events in his area for Sonic the Fighters, giving a mostly casual audience the ability to experience some of the game's greater depth. However, despite these occasional local events, the Sonic the Fighters Discord would see very little activity, and for a time it looked like the game was, once again, dead.
Oh no. I hate this game with every fiber of my being. Good game. It's terrible. It's so terrible.
Sonic the Fighters is kind of like strange in the sense that even within like the niche poverty Kuso fighting game community, that game has like kind of a bad reputation. Like I've talked to people who play like literally like anything, they'll like play some MS-DOS fighter and have like tech and stuff. And then you bring up Sonic the Fighters and it's like, oh, this game sucks. And it's like, wait, what? Like why does this game have like such like a harsh reputation? I think it took like, it had to take people from the outside to come in and be like, hey, this game is actually kind of interesting.
For me, Sonic the Fighters is it's just a fun time. I absolutely love Sonic the Fighters. I've been playing it for 3 years now. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
In late 2020, a Bark player who goes by the name Polymath would start taking an interest in Sonic the Fighters as a competitive game.
I just randomly got interested in Sonic the Fighters. I was checking out like videos and stuff. I'm like, there's got to be tournaments for this game or something. I mean, it's a fighting game, right? Like, and it's Sonic. People love Sonic. I'd be surprised if there wasn't any tournaments for a Sonic the Fighters game. And lo and behold, the only tournament I ever found on YouTube, it was Black Emerald Cup. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it was a PS3 tournament 9 years ago. So that was my only like frame of reference when it came to this game's competitive scene. From watching that video, I was like, wow, this is a pretty cool game, and I think there's a little more potential to this than people give it credit for. I'd love to see what happened if more tournaments were ran for this game. So from there, I just did everything I could. I tried to find Discord servers, whatever, Eventually, I stumbled across a very small Sonic the Fighters server with like maybe 40 or 50 people at the time. Very inactive, very quiet, and as soon as I got in there, I started talking to them like, guys, I really want to get tournaments going, like what can we do here?
On January 8th, 2021, the Sonic the Fighters Discord would host STF Spinoff, an online PlayStation 3 event that would garner 10 entrants, and would be the first in a series of online tournaments organized by Polymath.
I've never run any kind of bracket or anything like this before this point, and it was all just me doing it. Like I had a couple people helping me, but I set up the bracket myself. I set up the tournament page myself.
Oh my god. Oh, did you get the follow-up? Oh, kick reset. He's gone.
Besides setting up the event's bracket, Polymath would also enter the tournament, finishing third after losing to Trukuu's Amy and King Bundy's Honey. A new figure in the competitive scene, Bundy would ultimately face off against Trukuu in Grand Finals, in what would end up being a high-level Amy mirror match.
I thought it was going to be a perfect. That wiped out half health.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Games 1 and 2 would both end up going to round 5, but in the end, Trukuu would still end up winning the best of 5 Grand Finals set, 3-0. Spinoff and the monthly tournaments that would come after would bring life back into the server, and slowly, new and old faces would make their way into the game. A new community was coming together.
So it's pretty interesting, yeah. The server started growing a lot when I started being more active in there.
A few weeks later, another event, South Island Smackdown, would host a smaller round-robin bracket in the server. This time, King Bundy would win the event over Trukuu. This would be Trukuu's last event in the server, but Polymath's efforts would soon catch the eye of one of the PlayStation 3 version's veterans, Matt Beach, aka Snick Ed. A player who, despite running the game's forums in the 2010s, had drifted away from the title since 2014, when interest in the game had started to wane.
After like the biggest tournaments happened and people they're not getting hyped for a big tournament or anything anymore, I just didn't really have it in me to host anything new. I still kept in touch with people. Rax, Kanekasi, and I, like, we would play like a little bit of like Street Fighter 4. I think a little bit of Third Strike. They were actually the guys who tried to get me to like really play it for the first time, which I'm still playing it today. So shout outs to them. Yeah, we just didn't have it in us to like run a tournament or anything like that. And it wasn't until I don't remember how or why, but I somehow ended up on the STF category on Twitch, and I saw that Polymath was streaming the game, and it was cool because I would see him and Al, like CTC, and a couple others, just like sort of learning the game in the same way I remembered learning it back in like 2012. I think I lurked for like one stream, and then I actually hopped in for the next. It was really, really cool to see like a concentrated effort to bring the game back in an era where the game itself is not relevant by any means, but that we have so many better tools and like an actual like hub of communication to use. Like being able to see it, like being given not only like a chance, but being given like a serious, honest shot by people that really cared and liked playing the game. It was a big deal. I had a great time interacting with everybody, playing games, spreading a little bit of knowledge, and playing in a few of the tournaments.
Matt Beach would return to compete in these new tournaments and show that he had only gotten better since the game's glory days.
I would say it was just a combination of sort of picking up where I left off and applying like the better fundamentals that I've gained over the years, which also just comes kind of with just maturity as a person. Like I think a little combination of a number of factors, I would say, kind of led to me suddenly being really, really strong.
Wow. Yeah, honestly, he's not a bad like pocket character to have.
Sonic the Fighter's third online tournament of 2021 would be South Island Lovers. And it was then on March 5th, 2021, that Matt Beach would make his return to competitive play.
Wow, he's out here with the claps, bro. He really wants to make some good old pancakes.
Wow. Yeah, Spades in the chat. Yeah, this is an actual tournament. It's called South Island Lovers. It was supposed to be a Valentine's Day tournament, but it got pushed into March, so...
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Good freaking barrier block. I wish that finishes.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, Matt's really trying now. I don't think he liked losing that first round.
Since 2014, Matt had decided to focus on playing two STF characters, Espio and Tails. This Tails in particular would soon become a formidable force in the game. Tails was a character who had been often overshadowed in Sonic the Fighter's history, but he was far from a low tier, despite what some tier lists say.
What were they thinking?
As the smallest character in the game, Tails can use sidesteps to avoid attacks that would hit any other character in the game, and his propeller throws allow him to do insane amounts of damage, especially when factoring in catch-up.
Fortunate. That's dead.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Damn. So much damage. He's very good at essentially spamming sidestep and different moves out of sidestep. So you can do like sidestep PK, like punch kick. That's a very strong one for him. He likes that, and he has Wimpy Punch as well, which is a really quick move. Comes out very fast, and it has a very jank hitbox, so that's a good move too. Like maybe I would say Tails is a little worse than Sonic and Knuckles, you know, but I'd say the Sonic and Knuckles are like probably confidently the best characters in the game.
I'm scared.
That's it. I'm scared of his Tails too. It's fucked me up pretty hard.
He's kind of like an E Honda kind of character where his up close options are kind of obnoxious. He really just slips behind you and starts dealing like a lot of damage with his moves, but then right when you start to block him all the time, that's when he starts whipping out his command grabs, and the one where he throws you towards the wall, it's a free corner carry and your plus even if they flip. Like on paper, he's not actually that good at all because his neutral is like really limited, but the mix is just so dangerous that he is able to empower himself just by virtue of having so many options that are like good and hit hard.
Oh. Holy shit, I forgot that they can like turn around like that, fucking Sonic and Tails. I think they're the only ones that can do it.
Yeah, unfortunate. That's
Nice.
dead.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Damn. Ooh.
At South Island Lovers, Matt Beach would sweep the winner's bracket, taking out newcomer Gamma Crackers and reigning champ King Bundy to make it into the winner's side of Grand Finals. In Grand Finals, Bundy would once again attempt to defeat the Two-Tailed Fox, this time in a 1-3 best-of-5 match. Matt Beach took Game 1, and then he took Game 2. Finally, Bundy got on the board with Game 3, but this would go on to be the only game Matt Beach dropped all tournament.
It's moving. Oh. Oh, damn. I guess that's it.
Yeah,
wow. Matt takes the entire tournament. Congrats to our winner of South Island Lovers, Matt Beach, aka Scumbag U.
Nearly a decade after the release of Sonic the Fighters on HD consoles, Matt Beach had seemingly outperformed all of the game's best active players. But could he keep it up? At Casino Night Fight, April's installment of the monthly tournament series, Matt Beach would bench the tails and enter as Espio. Was this chameleon just as mighty as the two-tailed fox? At first it looked like it, but Matt Beach's road through the winner's bracket at Casino Night Fight would soon grow rocky. His set against Honeymane Lots of Money was a 2-0 victory, but with some tight games.
Oh, the foot stomp. Yeah, I want to see how far this can go here. Oh, Matt's just going off right now. Wow, the perfect. Oh my god. He T-poses on him again.
Afterwards, against Carrots Plus's Bean, Matt Beach would take the first game. But midway into the second game, he would run out of barriers. With barriers not regenerating between rounds, he would have to win the game from behind without using them.
Oh, nice. Yeah, is it? Yeah, I can see this being a bad matchup for SBO if that's what you're referring to, KOS. Oh, he's teching each one of those. Okay. Oh my God! Wow, Kiri takes game 2.
Carrots Plus and Matt Beach were now 1-1 in this set, and the next game, the tiebreaker match, would go to the last round.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh man, oh, the foot crush. Oh, the sidestep to avoid it. He gets the hype. Oh my god, he's going for the tongue. Oh, he gets him with the hyper mode tongues. Oh my god.
By a hair, Matt Beach was in winners finals, but it hadn't been a smooth ride. Matt's next opponent would be Gamma Crackers, a burgeoning Knuckles player who had gotten third at his first tournament ever, South Island Lovers, just 1 month prior. Last month, Gamma had lost to Beach 2-0 in winners semis, but today, his echidna looked tougher than leather.
Ooh.
Soon, without dropping a single round, Gamma Crackers had taken Game 1 of winners finals. A close second game would follow, going to the last round.
One more barrier. See if it actually matters though. The foot crush. Oh, this might be it. Oh my god. Oh, and he finishes off with the... Wow.
It was all tied up now, but Gamma was done playing around.
Oh, nice. Watches that pretty well. With the headbutt to keep him on the ground. Oh, down to red. And I'll do it. Alright, round 2. This is nerve-wracking. This is game 3 right now, and whoever wins is moving to grands. Yeah, Mystic, your bark is very, unique compared to the barks I've seen. So that's cool. Hyper mode, and wow, answers with the glide. Smart. Okay, breaks his barrier. Wow. Gamma is just mastering Knuckles. This is really impressive. It's a clap. Stomp. Wow, he's not even letting him get in, and he gets hyper mode to finish it off. Wow. Gamma's gonna end it with a clean sweep. And Gamma's moving on to grand finals.
Matt Beach had been pushed into losers, and his opponent in losers finals would be an unexpected new figure in the game. This Bark and Honey player was known as Mystic Noodle, and he was hoping to prove his name after also losing to Gamma.
Wow, and that's it.
A player with limited history in playing the game, at least against other human beings, this player's approach to STF was, well, mystical, utilizing jumps in place, wall climbs, hyper mode, and timeout situations to find unexpected win conditions. Stranger still, it was kind of working. Mystic's abnormal playstyle had allowed him to take out 2 notable Bark players on his way to losers finals. First, versus Polymath, he lost the Bark mirror, but then clutched the next 2 games with Honey.
Gosh, what is gonna happen? What is gonna happen at the end of this Poly? Oh, they see. Dude, he juggled him with that hyper mode combo to death.
After beating Polymath, Mystic played Backslash, taking 1 game off the Bark player with his own Bark, and then switching to Honey after losing game 2.
Backslash could always take it back. man. One more hit's gonna do it. Oh, no barriers. Oh, but he gets the he gets the hyper wimpy mode kill. Oh my god. You can't be too upset about that one. That was insane. Holy shit. I never ever thought I'd see a hyper wimpy mode kill to finish off the set. Congrats, Mystic. You're moving on.
Mystic had proven he could take out other Bark players, but could this newcomer handle an STF veteran? Not if Matt Beach had anything to say about it. As for this set, he would stop playing SBO and take his legendary Tails off the bench.
Bringing out Tails, okay. He really wants to win now.
Who is going to get the rematch with Gamma? Only time would tell.
Oh man, okay. This is pretty even so far. Yeah. This could really go either way. Oh. Yeah. Honestly, I think most of us get disoriented with the slip rounds, yeah. Nice, good block. Oh, the hyper's out. Nice, good answer. Good grab. Yeah, it really is true. Wow, alright, Matt takes game 1. Oh, what the hell? That was so weird. That I think he was trying to like track Tails in the air. Oh my god, just back and forth. They're scrapping right now. Oh man, Mystic just gets powered up by everybody he plays. I'm telling you. Oh, the hyper mode and he. Wow, good answer. All right. Oh, no grab. All right. Nice. Wow. Okay, just like that, Mystic takes game 2. This game's, it's got me nervous here. I don't know who's gonna win this right now.
Mystic's kind of embracing of movement, especially on like the wall. Like, that was probably the next time that I felt kind of like floored when I saw something like, wow, I've never seen this before.
It was game 3 and both combatants were tied, but one player clearly held the momentum and started leaning into his character's inherent aggression. He began to schmoove.
Oh, just barely falls short there. Oh, and he gets punished hard for it, damn. Oh. Wow. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Honestly, it works. Oh, wow, okay. Oh, the hyper mode's out. Oh, just to take it. Round 5, game 3. Who's gonna move on right now? Who's going to Grands? Oh. Yeah. Oh, the hyper mode. Oh my god, Matt answers with that. That's it. Oh, Mystic takes it. Mystic takes it. Oh, I'm speechless right now. Wow.
So it was that in the last round of their third game, Mystic would find victory over Matt Beach. But could he handle a rematch with Gamma Crackers in Grand Finals?
Nice. Alright, hits him with the glide. Misses the dropkick, gonna put him in a bad state here. Goes for the hyper mode. Uses barrier pretty well to avoid most of it. Still takes some damage at the end. Yeah, bracket reset would be really, really hype. I don't know if we've ever... I'm wondering if we ever had a bracket reset before. Oh, Gamma takes game 1. That's it. Alright. Mystic's gonna need to pick up some steam here if he really wants to take the whole tournament. Gonna have to win 2 sets in a row here. Nice. Putting some space between them now. Smart. Alright. Oh. The spin dash. Oh wow, eats like 2 of his barriers there. Time over, and Mystic takes the round for that. Doesn't really follow up. Okay. Oh, misses, but uses the glide to avoid the counter hit. Wow. Oh, spin dash doesn't quite catch him. See what he's going for there, though. Alright, gotta play carefully here, or else he's gonna lose. Oh, nice. Gamma sees one more here. Take game 2. Oh, goes for the drop kick and misses, but doesn't suffer too much for it. Okay, nice glide to punish the jump. Gets him on the ground for some extra damage. Nice. Wow, this is super close. And Mystic takes the game. Takes the round. Wow. Gamma using barrier a lot. Can't really go wrong. Oh. Uh-oh, it takes one more hit here. It's probably gonna be over. Oh. Oh my god. It's so close. There's 3 seconds left. Hyper mode. He gets it. Oh, Giza takes game 2. Oh my god, that was so close. Both of these games have been down to round 5. Oh, tries to catch him with a spin dash, but he techs just in time. Gets with a headbutt. Yep, good time to activate hyper mode. And, oh, doesn't quite finish it off. Oh, it's so close. Oh, finished him with the glide. Oh, glide's been such like an important tool in this entire match, honestly, even in this entire tournament. Wow, that was really cool. They both jump and don't do anything. Hyper mode's out. What's he gonna do? All right, pretty good usage of it. Oh, and Mystic again. We're down to round 5. Oh man, if Mystic loses, then this is it. But if he wins, then he's gonna stay alive just a little bit longer. It's a headbutt, knocks him down. Okay, answers with an uppercut. Knocks him down, doesn't get the damage off the spin dash. Hyper mode's out. Oh, and he answers with his own hyper mode. Oh, sliver of health left, and that's it. Oh, Giza takes it all.
As they say in the business, it was a 3-0, but close. Mystic Noodle did not win the tournament, but he did send a message.
Giza, I can tell you've been working super hard, and you really, really earned this win, dude. And congrats to you too, Mystic. You did such a good job. This was your first tournament ever, and you made it to grand finals. Like, that's super impressive.
Who was this mysterious player? And what other secrets did he have up his sleeve?
Get ready to watch a demo of my game.
Allow me for a moment to speak about Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube. You might have heard of it. I know I have. One of the greatest Smash Melee players of all time is, of course, Jason Mewtwo King Zimmerman. This player is famous and infamous for a number of reasons, including the unique way that he learned how to get good at the game. In Melee's early years as a competitive title, solo practice of any sort was a rare thing. While technical skill was, for the most part, required to be good at the game, many players prided themselves just as much on their mind games as their ability to use these technical skills. When Mewtwo King joined the scene, he would change the meta forever by playing in a way that he decided was, through rigorous solo practice, scientifically optimal. Mewtwo King did not have friends to play with growing up, so when he started entering tournaments at age 16, he had only become a master at fighting CPUs, not human beings. Unabated, Mewtwo King would continue to dismantle the game, breaking it down to its most granular parts. Using low-tech methods to learn the frame data and properties of the game's characters, he developed a style that was built around exploiting these properties, like the way Melee's Ledge grants users frames of invulnerability upon grabbing it, or the way Sheik can use a certain needle setup off-stage to cover multiple space animal recovery options for a reliable edgeguard.
You know, his defining strengths are that he's extremely knowledgeable over micro interactions, like for the time. One of the big things about him is knowing how interactions are going to happen, and especially in 07, he was so much more studied in these interactions that, like, if the games were ever close, he would just introduce new situations to you, and then like he would already have the options prepared and what he perceives the opponent's likely going to do next. And so then again, like he's playing a rock paper scissors match where like he can kill you if he guesses correctly, and because it's an unprecedented rock paper scissors on his opponent's end, like they're not going to be prepared, and Mewtwo King already knows what the scared reaction is going to be.
By being able to see the stitches and seams that put together his game, Mewtwo King was able to become one of Melee's greatest and most consistent players. Every time he lost to a player who wasn't top 5 in the world throughout his long career, it was news. Mystic Noodle isn't quite the Mewtwo King of Sonic the Fighters. There's only one Jason, but there are some things the two have in common in the way both players have helped redefine and refine the very nature of the games they play. In Mystic's case, this story begins innocuously, with the young gamer's childhood fascination with one of Sonic's most iconic foes. In 2008, when he was still a child, Mystic Noodle's family rented the direct-to-VHS 1996 Sonic anime film known as the Sonic OVA.
You might know everything I'm going to do, but that's not going to help you, since I know everything you're going to do! Strange, isn't it?
Sometime after, still transfixed by this film's depiction of Metal Sonic, Mystic had hoped to rent the tape for a second time, but when his family came back to the Blockbuster where they had rented it the first time, the tape was nowhere to be found. Searching for this VHS tape, Mystic was soon instead drawn to the rental store's copy of Sonic Gems Collection, and its cover art depicting Sonic and Metal Sonic. Soon, Mystic was experiencing Sonic CD, Sonic R, and of course Sonic the Fighters for the first time. Mystic soon fell in love with the aesthetics of Sonic the Fighters, and especially its depiction of Metal Sonic, who serves as the arcade mode of the game's overpowered final boss. He would play through this arcade mode repeatedly over the years, seeking just one more tussle against Sonic's robotic doppelganger. Years later, when the HD port of the game had released, Mystic craved this version of Sonic the Fighters, and I quote, like a starved animal. Soon he was playing it on a brand new PlayStation 3, but he would be playing it mostly, once again, by himself. More years would pass. By 2020, Mystic would make his way back to the game. Loading Sonic the Fighters up on an emulator, he would create save states at the beginning of the Metal Sonic fight at the end of the arcade campaign, and fight the boss character repeatedly, learning every one of Metal's tricks and how to counter them. While Sonic the Fighter's AI can be questionable, both losing to pretty simple tactics but also making impossible frame 1 reactions to counter player actions, this experience was nonetheless fundamental to Mystic's growth. Metal Sonic is a secret playable character in the HD version of Sonic the Fighters, but due to various overpowered moves that the character has access to, he has traditionally been banned in competitive play. Optimizing a fight against such a powerful character led to Mystic developing a unique and technical approach to the game. Trying to circumvent Metal's offensive options, Mystic realized that the less time he was spending on the ground, the fewer times he was getting hit. In Sonic the Fighters, players rising in the air from a jump are immune to lows and mids, something unusual in fighting games. He also found safety through climbing walls.
When you jump on the wall, there's actually, you can go at several different angles depending on the direction you hold the D-pad in. So if you jump on the wall, right, and then you press like up left or whatever, your character will do like a shorter jump. If you wall jump off the wall and like you press down left, you'll quickly jump to the ground, and like that's actually a really good tool for Bark to use. For example, Mystic's done this quite a few times. He has a loop that he does with Bark, where if a character is like on the ground, like flat on the ground, like they've been knocked down, he'll jump back on the wall, do the lower jump, and like he'll do like a landing punch, and he'll keep the opponent like on the ground just by continually jumping onto the wall, doing that landing punch off the wall. Like it's actually pretty insane.
While the game's exterior walls play a minor role in most players' experience with Sonic the Fighters, Mystic realized that by using wall jumps and wall climbs, he could avoid pressure and create a mix-up situation.
If you have him cornered, he'll just jump back and then like jump off the ring and then enter hyper mode. It's not necessarily grimy, but it's like extremely difficult to deal with.
Much like Melee players had realized with their game's ledges, Mystic realized that STF's walls were potent and exploitable offensive and defensive tools. But his discoveries would not end there. At some point after his time optimizing the Metal Sonic battle, Mystic Noodle would use tools included in the Dolphin GameCube emulator made for tool-assisted speedruns, or TASes, to create elaborate scripted fights in the game, often featuring banned characters like Metal Sonic or Super Sonic. This experience, too, would open the young Sonic fans' eyes to the game's most hidden secrets, and teach him how to play in a way far more fluid than any player before him, always acting, if possible, on the first frame he could. It also gave him access to the closest thing Sonic the Fighters has to a practice mode. Players before him had typically tried to play out scenarios by holding two controllers, or simply trying to set up combos or strings against the game's AI, neither of which were great solutions. While pouring through matches frame by frame, Mystic would realize things no previous player had about the true nature of Sonic the Fighters, like that Hyper Start, the move that characters perform when entering hyper mode, is a powerful barrier-breaking launcher that is at its strongest when players use it without activating hyper mode and without already being in hyper mode. This means that the move was at its strongest only when being used while in cooldown for hyper mode, or while the player inputting it was out of barriers, putting them in a state where they were unable to enter hyper mode. With this in mind, Mystic realized that barriers, typically considered a precious resource, were something he wanted to get rid of in order to get access to this move as early in matches as possible.
When people start getting good at the game, not only does it become a better fighting game than it feels like at first, but I think it also becomes a better Sonic game. The way the movement ends up looking, it starts feeling more and more like a Sonic game. You're jumping around a lot. You're using like a lot of weird movement options, jumping off of walls, and it just adds like this nice cartoony element that really reminds me of like 90s Sonic.
Oh, the super movement. And Tails closes it out by giving Sonic a very pure movement kind of answer.
Minimizing lag in general would be a big part of Mystic's game plan. He learned players could hold the kick button and move left or right to skip half of the animation of their character's getup when knocked down. He learned air punching or activating hyper mode in the air reduced landing lag, allowing him to act faster after jumping. And hyper mode in general he realized could be used for aggressive options, but also as a way to make risky situations more favorable to him, reducing the time he spent in lag, and allowing him to, if need be, simply run away.
He's always keeping his eyes on the timer. He's probably one of the only players that actually gets timeouts for his wins a lot of the time, which sounds kind of like cheap or whatever, but in Sonic the Fighters, you're on a 30-second timer, so it's actually more acceptable to use that to your advantage in Sonic the Fighters as opposed to other games, I would say.
Mystic Noodle's entrance into the Sonic the Fighters community would make players question the way they played, and the metagame would, for the first time in years, evolve. But despite bringing these innovations into the game, Mystic Noodle was not quite Sonic the Fighter's top dog, at least not as far as tournament results could tell. He still had some training to do, and a deficit of experience in playing other people. Matt Beach, who had honed his fighting game fundamentals playing everything from Sonic the Fighters to Third Strike to Smash Ultimate, remained a threat, and Gamma Crackers, with his use of Knuckles' glide, had figured out how to disrupt Mystic's jump-heavy playstyle. The question remained, could Mystic overcome his own inexperience? This question would have to wait.
So this is Dr. Eggman. He's a big man, he's got a big mech. And he's actually banned in tournaments, even though most of his moves are really laggy, they don't always work. Or they're just really slow, you know, you get the deal. He has this too, which is pretty cool. However, he has this move. This move is absolutely absurd. The hitbox is huge, it's super fast, it does a zillion damage, especially in the corner if you get all the hits. Look at that. I can just spam this on his shield, can't do anything about it. So that's why there's kind of like a complex ban with Eggman, because you could totally win just by spamming this thing. You know, I lost there, but the point stands, trust me. You could totally win just by spamming that drill move and walling them out forever. Look at that. Fair and balanced.
A month after Casino Night Fight, there would be yet another monthly STF tournament, but this one would lack two of the game's current top players. Polymath, Gamma Crackers, and Mystic were all not present for the event. In their absence, Matt Beach would both stream and compete in Canyon Splash Bash as the event's top seed. Making his way through the event's winners bracket, he would find himself face to face with Carrots Plus, the Bean player who had given him a run for his money just a month prior in winners finals. Fun fact, despite his name Bean the Dynamite seemingly calling back to Sega AM2's arcade classic Dynamite Ducks, Bean is, according to official Sonic lore, in fact a woodpecker. Perhaps this would explain why Carrots Plus was able to take Game 1 using Bean's bombs sparingly and his beak excessively.
Never mind, I'm not up. Alright, I think I got this. Just give me a second, let me finish adapting.
With winners finals being a best of 3 set, Matt Beach would have to adapt quickly, or be sent to the losers bracket. Quite literally, he would have to use his head, or maybe to be more accurate, Espio's headbutt. Matt Beach would use this move to force knockdowns in round 1 of the second game, and eventually clean things up with a long tongue attack that would connect before Carrots Plus's bomb kick could interrupt it. But after that, he would struggle to keep Bean's beak at bay. In Game 2, Rapid Pack's basic kicks and a bomb kick would take Beach down, and the Dynamite Woodpecker would soon then take another round. Matt Beach was 1 KO away from losing the set, but he would hit a headbutt in round 4 that would deplete Carrots Plus's last barrier.
Where I win. No barriers.
In round 5, Beach would then try to exploit the imbalance and barriers between the two by using Espio's Warp, a move that can only be used while in hyper mode. but in doing so, he accidentally left himself open and lost the set.
Oh, I couldn't get out in time. Oh man, good games, dude.
Once again, Beach's SBO looked weaker than his Tails. Losing to Carrots Plus in Winners Finals, he was sent into the losers bracket, where he would beat CTC 190 in order to rematch Carrots Plus in Grand Finals.
Nonsensical move in the game, so good. Ah, man, that was a really close set.
In the finals, Beach would reset the bracket in a Game 5 set, at which point the two would play another Game 5 set, going to the last round before eventually, finally, one of them emerged victorious.
Okay, here we go, last round. You waited to get up, you monster. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that was sick. Okay, but still managed to get it. With, of course, the Sonic the Fighters classic just punch kick to victory.
Matt Beach had won Grand Finals, but he would keep the tournament stream running for a little while longer, also leaving his game lobby open to any viewers who wanted to join in and play. One of the viewers who ended up joining in turned out to be Mystic Noodle.
Les, it's actually interesting that you say that, like investing in movement, because that's actually a very recent development for the game overall. Especially with Mystic Noodle, like... This is kind of a player that would kind of spoil you with movement. Like, they are really, really swift. And really honestly changed the way even I think about this game sometimes. Oh, Mystic Noodle's moving too hard on me. What do I do? Oh my gosh. Too much movement. Also, good to see you, Les. Thanks for coming by. For those who don't know, this is basically the Akuma fight for me. I just beat arcade mode. Akuma's coming to whoop my ass.
These two players' friendly games would be a preview of sorts of what was to come in Sonic the Fighters, as 1 month later, on June 25th, 2023, the sun would soon be setting on this era of the game. STF's premier players Mystic, Matt Beach, and Gamma Crackers would all attend June's monthly tournament Sunset Showdown. Preparing for this event, Mystic would go back to the lab and see what he could do to ensure that he could win the event. So far as he could see, he could beat just about everyone at Sonic the Fighters, except for one person, Gamma Crackers. Looking for answers to the Knuckles player's style, he decided that he had to find a way to counter Knuckles' glide, a fast and strong special that punished Mystic's habitual jumps. Soon, he found an answer. Gamma's main Knuckles and Mystic's main Honey were very similar characters. As she appears in Sonic the Fighters HD port, Honey is more or less a clone of Knuckles with a higher weight, no ability to turn herself into a ball, and access to Head Slide, a move borrowed from Amy. She even shares Knuckles' aggressive sidestep. By sidestepping in positions where he used to jump, Mystic saw that he could both dodge and punish a gliding Knuckles. He could also just trade by throwing out his own glide. Could such small optimizations really turn the tables on an entire matchup? In Winners Semis of Sunset Showdown, the answer to this question would be revealed. At Sunset Showdown, Mystic was seeded to play Gamma in Winners Semis, but before he could fight the Knuckles player, he had to also fight fellow Honeymane CTC. And in this set, another character of Mystic's would make an appearance. Playing for the first time as Sonic, Mystic Noodle would have a rough first round against CTC's Honey, but eventually claw things back in round 5, taking game 1. The following game would also end up going to round 5.
Definitely was annoying me though.
That's gonna go to Mystic. That was so close though, that was so close.
In his Winners Semis set against Gamma Crackers, Mystic would again let the Blue Hog loose.
Really cool to see Knuckles versus Sonic. This is like just classic. Good glide. Oh, nice. Yeah, very smart how Gamma always sidestepped that for his glide, so you can't punish him. All right, nice. Wow. All right. Oh, catches him with a spin dash. Wow. All right, nice. Good PK. Breaks his barrier and gets punished for it though. All right. So Gamma's gonna walk away with a pretty clean first win. That was so fast. Wow, that might have been one of the quickest matches we've had.
Sonic was looking slow. So with the set on the line, Honey came out to play. And with her, Mystic was alert enough to block Gamma's first glide, and later use his own glide to clutch the first round of Game 2. Dodging more glides in the second round, Mystic nevertheless ended up throwing a big early lead. The game was now tied. In round 3, Mystic dodged and traded with Gamma's glides, but the Knuckles was finding the bigger hits. Soon, Mystic was one round away from losing the set. And then came the hyper mode combos, the wall climbs, and for safe measures, a sidestep punch kick. It's now last round. More hyper combos, more glide trading, and a Hail Mary glide attack from Mystic nabs him the round. The set is now tied. Game 3 begins with a lot of whiffed moves from both players, and then the video freezes. When it resumes, Mystic is up 2 rounds to Gamma's 1.
Oh, nice. Wow, yeah, a lot of sidesteps happening here. Yeah, it's pretty much just sidesteps back and forth, like, oh wow, Gamma gets the kick, saves himself right at the last second there. It's round 5.
With both players fishing for sidestep punch kicks and glides, Mystic finds the lead. And then...
Hyper mode comes out from Mystic. What's he gonna do with it? Oh. Alright, he takes Gamma's last barrier. Gamma can't do anything, and he finishes him off. Mystic wins. Oh my god, that was so close. For the first time, we're like, man, this guy is really good. He's kind of up and coming.
Just like that, Mystic had shown that there wasn't a single Sonic the Fighters player who he couldn't beat. This tournament was all but his. Except, there was another player waiting in Winners Finals. The winner of last month's event, Matt Beach. And today, Matt's SBO was nowhere to be seen. And his tails seemed more than ready to bash in some heads.
Yo, good luck to Matt, good luck to Mystic. This is gonna be really entertaining right now.
Let's go. Again choosing to start the set by playing Sonic, Mystic Noodle would swiftly take the first 2 rounds of Game 1 of Winners Finals.
This is gonna be super interesting. Wow.
Punch kick him. Okay.
Oh.
Yep. Do the footsie.
Oh,
wow.
he misses. Oh.
What moves punish?
Oh.
But Matt would thereafter adapt to the Sonic player's offense. When Mystic volleyed Matt with a running spin in round 3, the Tails player air-teched out and landed with air spin to take the round. When a low-health Mystic started spamming sidesteps in round 4, Matt used another spin attack, this time out of jump, to take things to round 5. Whoever won this set, it wasn't going to come easy.
Oh wow, he's rolling all over him with that hyper, the fucking, I don't even know what you call it, spin dash, I guess, yeah.
Hyper start, like, not hyper, but, you know.
Yeah.
I guess it'd just be start then.
Nice, wow, good tech.
I'm trying to follow what's happening.
Yeah, there's so much, wow. Oh my god, Mystic pulls through at the last second there, wow. Mystic is just hopping over everything.
That backwards guard, though.
Yeah. Oh, nice, alright. Nice, gets him with the grab, catches the sidestep, that was really good, wow. Oh, okay, wait, does Tails spin dash have... Oh.
Last, I think.
Okay, so he must have been off by, like, very slight amount. So it looked like they started at the exact same time. Nice, that air spin dash, always a good... Yeah, that move is just always a good, like, little retaliation. Alright. Oh.
He wants both these rounds.
Oh, nice, good response.
Is he getting... Let's see.
Oh, did he catch? Wow. Mystic making the switch to Honey. Okay, alright. This could work out. His Honey is top of the line. Oh, nice. Alright, yeah, catches him. Nice little punish, yeah. Oh, good, nice.
Good move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's approaching.
Wow, alright. There's something I noticed, that there's a meta game to, like, round openers. You start to, like, memorize how your opponent tends to open their rounds, and then you kind of respond accordingly. But wow, Matt getting a nice grab there. He's 1 round away from taking it. Nice, gets the headbutt. Yeah, he starts moving. I want to ask Mystic what his logic is why he tends to break out hyper mode just in the middle of the match, but he takes the next round, so
really missed.
Yeah, that's Sonic the Fighters. Oh, another hyper mode.
Whoa.
It might pay off. Oh, Matt closed it out. Wow. Oh man.
All right.
Matt, the reigning champion, returning to grand finals. And now we're gonna see Mystic and Gamma fight for their losers bracket lives right now. This is gonna be super interesting. Gamma, best of luck. Same to you, Mystic.
Mystic Noodle had come so close, but Matt had managed to stay just a step ahead, air-teching into an air spin yet again to take Game 3 of Winners Finals. Mystic was dumbfounded by this loss, but also certain that he could still win the tournament. To get his rematch against Matt, all he had to do was beat Gamma Crackers one more time in Losers Finals, and he was confident he could do it.
Hope this goes well for one of you, that's for sure.
In the first round of the first game of the set, Mystic was put into a position that most STF players would consider precarious. He accidentally blocked a Knuckles spin dash, and in the process lost 4 barriers. However, Mystic Noodle is not most STF players, and he soon took advantage of not having barriers by liberally using his favorite move, non-hyper hyperstart.
Mystic is like perfectly okay with just willingly dropping all barriers.
It's crazy to think about.
Handling Gamma's glides better than ever, he would take a 2-0 victory in the set.
Oh boy. Gamma really teeter around the edge here. Oh, and that's gonna do it. Oh, Mystic takes it.
GG, Noodle. GG, did really good.
Mystic Noodle was going to Grand Finals, but coming from losers, he would have to beat Matt Beach twice in order to win Sunset Showdown.
This is a best of 5 set, so everyone keep that in mind.
The Honey player was coming in hot, but it seemed like Matt had figured something out in the 2's last set.
It's a massive point of fascination. Like everybody in the community just wants to figure out what is going on here. To put it bluntly, what are these characters really capable of? Like, what are these techniques that the game doesn't even tell you about? What's all this that's hidden underneath this game? It feels like it really does feel like the gift that keeps on giving in that way. And I think that it's not like it's the most competitive thing in the world either. I mean, obviously there's merit to being better than everybody else. There's merit to winning a tournament. But at the end of the day, the scene at this point at least is still relatively small. And for I think a lot of us, the real satisfaction that comes with winning is realizing that you figured out something that works. You've learned something new about the game. And it's just oh wait, I figured out this new technique, I applied it, and it actually worked. I've contributed to the metagame in some way. A lot of stuff like that is, I think, where a lot of our satisfaction comes from. I know it's been that way for me all the way since the beginning. It's just an extremely fascinating game that's changed a lot over the years. There's always something new to learn. There's always something new to discover. There's always some new boundary to push. Every time that I feel like it's a solved game, that's when someone like Monkey DVJ or someone like Mystic Noodle comes up and it's just oh wait, never mind. All of a sudden my expectations get defied just a little bit more again. So it's really interesting how much we've been able to squeeze out of this game, but again, in some sort of weird way, that the discovery process alone has captivated just about everybody.
Really effective. Wow, nice. Alright. Yeah, that's some good damage right there, geez. Finishes off with the slide, okay. Alright, once again, Mystic is up 2-0. We're in a similar situation to last match.
Good headbutt.
Okay.
What is Mystic?
I don't know what I just saw.
Oh, the air just muffled him.
That was impressive. Mystic's gonna walk away with game 2.
Mystic Noodle had taken a 2-0 lead over Matt Beach. So to shake things up, Matt's SBO would be tagged into the ring.
I mean, it was like the last game of set 1 of Grand. So I was like, you know what? I don't know if I could play this fast right now. I'm gonna try, switch into somebody that's a little bit more defensive. And if I lose, then I just, we go back to 0 games apiece.
However, the SBO would once again struggle versus Honey, and Mystic would reset the bracket.
And he takes it, wow.
The true finals were about to begin.
Mystic's gonna reset the bracket here. So, alright, yeah, so Matt's making the change back to Tails. I think that's probably the right call.
SBO's zoning tools could not hold back Mystic Noodle's aggression. So, Matt Beach's Tails would return to the stage for the first game of the second set.
Because Tails isn't a character I could just wall you out with. So the whole time I was okay, so the only way I could actually clutch this out is if I try to match, just playing as fast. It was oh god, I'm not ready for this at all.
Continuing to push his aggression as far as he could, Mystic would attempt to speedrun the Grand Finals reset.
Oh. No way, that's, oh my god, what? Oh. Wow. This is tough right now, this is tough. Matt's gotta make some changes, I think.
Matt Beach decided that the only way to fight this fire was with fire.
I'm just, I don't know what to say anymore.
Game 2 saw both players tied in rounds, when in round 3, Matt Beach interrupted Mystic's descent from a jump with a punch that would knock Honey over. From there, chasing Mystic's roll on Get Up and punishing with Foot Crush, Matt was able to use a sidestep punch and Tails Pummel Punch, a fast, strong move that tracks opponents, to basically take the round, finishing things up with a simple punch combo. Another basic punch combo out of sidestep would win him a super close round 4, and the set was now tied. Game 3 would go back and forth.
It definitely does, it's a good move. Oh, nice. Wow. 1 second left here. Oh.
Both players were playing to win, but taking his opponent to low health in round 4, it looked like Matt Beach was set to win the game. But then catch-up damage ensured that when Mystic found a sidestep punch kick and later a sidestep uppercut combo, he had won the round. Mystic then spent his last barrier in round 5 trying to win with aggression, but Matt caught the cat with a scissor punch, a foot crush, and a couple kicks to take game 3.
Perfect, awesome, wow. Matt closed it out.
If Matt won one more game, the tournament was his, and when he quickly took the first 2 rounds of game 4, it looked like such a victory was inevitable.
A lot is happening right now. Alright.
For Mystic, the situation could not be more dire. In a tight spot in round 3, he was put into knockdown with a sliver of health. It seemed unlikely he could survive.
Oh man. Oh, Mystic saved himself. Alright, he's still in it.
Throwing his barriers to the wind, Mystic had seized round 3 and soon nabbed round 4.
That makes sense, yeah. Oh, Mystic opting to use his last hyper mode, okay.
A sidestep punch kick, a sidestep double punch, a punch, and a non-hyper hyper start would seal the deal. The 2 were going to game 5.
Wow.
Dude, this is the best grand finals ever.
This is it. This takes the cake, honestly. Best grand finals we've ever had.
Sunset Showdown had brought together these 2 top players for 10 back and forth battles. But now, somehow, it was going to have to come to an end. When the dust cleared, who would still be standing? A veteran of the competitive community, or this kid who liked to bounce off walls? Whatever happened, it was clear that neither player was going to take it lying down. First, in round 1, Mystic found the dub after 2 well-placed punch kicks. In round 2, however, Matt was able to redirect Mystic's momentum, closing things out with a spin attack, reading Mystic's jump in the corner. In round 3, Mystic hit a launcher and tried to intercept Matt's air tech with air kicks, but he just barely missed it, eating a punch combo to lose the round instead. Now being only 1 round loss away from losing the set and the tournament at large, Mystic had to do whatever he could to stay alive. At the start of round 4, he opened with an explosive hyper combo, but then he ate a high damage airplane throw that ended up putting the game right back into Matt's favor. Mystic quickly fought back, using head slide and a high kick to knock Matt in the air. But in this moment, Matt remembered what his PlayStation 3 elders had taught him. He input a safe landing, and he mashed punch. And his low health gave him enough catch-up damage to take Mystic out in a single 3-hit combo. Mystic Noodle's lead had become a liability, and Matt Beach had won Sunset Showdown.
The Tails jab combo, oh man, that was a lot of damage right there, wow. Super impressive stuff from Matt. He took that really long set and he adapted as it went along, and it ended up paying off in the end.
Thanks to a mechanic meant to make the game more beginner-friendly, Matt Beach had established himself once again as Sonic the Fighter's best player. But by the next monthly tournament, he would not be around to defend his title.
You know, unfortunately, that was Matt's last tournament with us. Yet he's been busy with, like, I think he runs Smash tournaments on his own and stuff like that.
That was my last tournament before I needed to move. And it was a pretty serious move for me because I was moving not only myself, but I was also moving my mom out of, like, her place. So that was just like, all right, this is going to be like a multi-month project. And the fallout from that and just like other things, like, you know, like keeping up with my grad school work, keeping up with trying to make sure that my professional career was like still holding strong. a lot of stuff like that, which kind of coincidentally involved a lot of Smash, which is why it probably seemed like I was ignoring everybody, because it's like, oh, he's still gaming. I was like, no, I really wasn't. I was just doing my work with gamers. Yeah, so I really ended up just getting distracted with other things. But the point of bringing that up is that the community is like, it's really, really cool, and I really like what Polymath and CTC, Mystic Noodle, and KOS have all really put together with this, among the others that have worked on it. Of course, it's a huge effort, and I know there's a few names I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but it's a combined serious effort for the game, like I said, by people that actually really, really care for it, and that's just so great to see. And I'm really glad that it's out there and that it's seen a certain degree of success that it has. So I'm happy I've been able to participate in it, even if just at least up to this point, even if just a little bit.
Ever since then, I would say Mystic easily he kind of just picked up the reins from there, and he's become the #1 player. No barriers left though.
No, the grab didn't connect.
The hyper mode comes out. Oh, and there's nothing he can do about it. Just sending out an array of corks.
Yeah, Mystic takes it then.
Yeah.
Since Sunset Showdown in June of 2021, both Matt Beach and Gamma Crackers have not entered a single Sonic the Fighters tournament, but Mystic Noodle has remained active in the game, winning the majority of the STF events he enters. But all of those events have been online. Netplay events have been the primary domain of Sonic the Fighters in the past few years, but the game is not totally lacking in in-person events and appearances. In 2022, Trukuu would attend MomoCon, an anime and games convention in Atlanta, Georgia, where he found that the event had something exceedingly rare in the United States, a Sonic the Fighters arcade cabinet. However, one of the players on this cabinet was behaving in an unsportsmanlike manner.
There was this kid, right, that kept talking smack to everybody he was beating, right? And I thought it'd be funny if, like, I just knocked him down, and then with Amy, I just kept doing the item drop over and over while they're on the ground, because unless you know, like, how to roll out of it, you just keep getting hit with it over and over. I killed him like 3 or 4 games in a row just doing that, and I left. The Sonic the Fighters cabinet, right, was just like, there was always somebody playing on it. Like, there was always usually 2 people, and it was really popular, you know, like people were really liking it. The whole idea of like an early 3D like Sonic fighting game, like there was a lot of people there that had never played it or didn't know it exists, and they were just having fun, just like pressing around on it, you know?
Noticing Sonic the Fighters' crossover appeal, Trukuu decided to make the case that the Retro World Series, a circuit of retro gaming tournaments that also hosted tournaments at MomoCon, should include Sonic the Fighters in a future event. After persuading Retro World Series head Hal Hawkins, Trukuu saw that Sonic the Fighters would be included in a poll towards Retro World Series participants about what games participants might want to have at future events. Enough respondents reacted positively to the idea of a Sonic the Fighters bracket that it was decided that, alongside RWS's other competitive events, they would also host an STF event at MomoCon 2023.
The turnout, well, it ended up with 11 players, but it was on Sunday, right? It was the last event of the convention, which the whole con shuts down at like 5. So this was like 2:30 on a Sunday, you know? And there were even only 11 people played. Not only did we have a decent amount of spectators there, but there was a lot of people that were saying like they wanted to play in it, but like they could only come out Saturday, and that was like, you know, like that's the biggest day of the con. All the biggest games get ran on Saturday because of that, you know. So I think the day hurt it a little bit, but overall it was still pretty good, you know. I mean, it's a start.
As always, playing Sonic and Amy, Trukuu would win this tournament from the winner's bracket without dropping a game. He says that most of the other players at the event were either entirely new to the game or had played the HD version back in the day, so it wasn't exactly difficult. This tournament was another small one, for a game that has traditionally struggled to get more than a dozen players in the same bracket, but Trukuu believes it could set the foundation for more in-person events for the game in coming years.
Meanwhile,
while Trukuu was dominating in-person Sonic the Fighters at MomoCon, online, there was still one figure who was winning the vast majority of STF events. That person being, of course, Mystic Noodle.
There's a pretty considerable gap in skill between him and a lot of the other players. But I will say, I don't know if you know KOS at all. He's a very good player too.
I play the game more conventionally. I'm cognizant of all the movement options and all the defensive options someone can do. And like, I basically just block with my face at first until I get like a read on what someone's gonna do.
So you're like playing the player more.
Yeah.
While Mystic Noodle would establish himself in the online community as Sonic the Fighter's best player, he was not the game's only top player. There was another player in STF history who I have failed to mention until now.
I would say out of everybody who's played the game and has really like gotten good at it, he's probably the one that's put in the most time into just like optimizing things, or at least trying new things in an attempt to optimize things.
Known at first as Courage, this player was only a child when he started playing the game, and would early on distinguish himself in Sonic the Fighters as the only player to play Fang in the 2013 PlayStation 3 Scene. A journey that he says began when he accidentally picked the gun-toting Jiraboa while trying to select Tails.
His name was Courage. I can't remember all the numbers in his name, but he played Fang. He kind of struggled because, you know, the meta for PS3 is just like far more aggressive, and it's like Sonic is a nightmare match for Fang.
Courage would stay mostly under the radar during the HD version's heyday, but as he grew up, he would begin to educate himself in the world of fighting games. This journey would start with Super Smash Bros. Melee, which he would play mostly on his own, practicing the game's highly technical movement. Later on, he would also take interest in the Naruto GNT4 community, joining a Skype group for that fighter and also later its Discord community. He would also start reading about fighting games and the psychological elements of them that can make or break a competitive performance. Over the years, he would continue to play a variety of fighters, with a preference towards obscure late 90s and early 2000s titles, like Rakugaki Showtime and One Piece Grand Battle. But he never quite quit playing Sonic the Fighters. In 2021, Courage, now known under the name of KOS, standing for Knowledge of Self, would become a part of STF's online revival, playing in many of the PS3 lobbies hosted by Polymath and the Sonic the Fighters Discord crew, but he had to do so in an unorthodox manner.
I didn't have a PS3, and most of the tournaments were on PS3. The closest thing I could use is PS Now.
Now defunct, PlayStation Now allowed PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC owners to stream titles from various PlayStation platforms via cloud gaming. One of the included titles in this service was the PlayStation 3 version of Sonic the Fighters. So those without a PS3 did technically have a way to play the PS3 version of the game, albeit with an additional amount of lag and some other technical difficulties that came as a result of the game being streamed instead of played directly off of the console. Technical issues with PlayStation Now meant that KOS would never manage to actually play a tournament set for most of 2021's STF revival, only making occasional appearances in friendly lobbies to bop some heads before disappearing into the ether. But in some ways that was okay, because the STF community would soon gain another way to play the game via the RPCS3 PlayStation 3 emulator, giving STF players the ability to play one another online on their PCs. When this did happen, KOS suddenly had the ability to play with the game's best players, including Mystic Noodle, without any major compromises. Soon KOS and Mystic would start sparring regularly. KOS had a great talent in discovering new techniques and optimizing hyper combos, but Mystic's technical understanding of the game and ability to apply that technical understanding on the spot often outmatched KOS's when things got tight. So these two players would start pushing each other to the limits, but their play sessions were by and large simply casual, friendly sessions. Mystic Noodle's dominance in STF events would continue unabated, with KOS by and large not competing, save for the occasional Xbox 360 bracket. But finally, at the end of 2022, Bark's Blizzard Bash, another online tournament, would feature an RPCS3 bracket as its main attraction. And this time, both KOS and Mystic Noodle would register for it. It looked like the two titans of STF were finally going to face off on the big stage. Then, tragically, KOS overslept and was disqualified from the tournament. Mystic Noodle would win the event over lots of money in the grand finals, and it seemed like that was that. Still, the two would keep playing each other outside of tournaments.
That's what I do best, baby!
Throughout 2023, footage would be released on the Sonic Arena channel, showing the two going at it, often playing as some of the game's most written-off characters like Bark and Amy, in an attempt to push both characters in the metagame. Oftentimes, Mystic Noodle would win these games, but not all of the time.
Sit down. Sit down.
Yay!
Oh, you were waiting.
Oh.
Oh, you were waiting!
The Mystic KOS rivalry was heating up, but it was unclear if Sonic the Fighters fans would ever get a chance to see the two actually face off in bracket. As 2023 bore on, there would be a long drought of events. A tournament had been planned to be held by the Discord server in the summer of 2023, but due to various delays, it would not come to be until mid-October. This event, Mobius Cup 2023, looked like it could be the biggest event the server had held in a long time, bolstered in part by recent growth in the STF player base following the release of Sonic Superstars, as well as a pretty cool video about the game by YouTuber Guile Winquote. Mobius Cup 2023 was looking great. All it was missing was its top players, both of whom initially were not registered for the event. Looking over the event's registration, I reached out to Mystic Noodle and KOS before this tournament and asked if they planned to enter it. Mystic told me that he was in the middle of a move and was not sure if he could make it. And then when I asked KOS if he was entering, he said flatly no. So it was to my surprise that both ended up entering the event.
It was like a spur of the moment thing. The reason I said no that day was I was actually playing with Mystic that day, and I lost really hard and it made me mad.
Finally, after Sonic the Fighters players had been hyping up this rivalry to me for months, a collision between these icons of competitive STF in a real tournament setting suddenly seemed all but inevitable. But then, KOS, once again, overslept. Thankfully this time things would not end quite so anticlimactically though. KOS would wake up in time to play his matches, and he would do so playing as Bark the Polar Bear, a character seen near the bottom of most tier lists.
Yeah. He's getting with claps a lot too, actually.
Man.
Wow.
KOS had been inspired by the recent success of another heavy spinning grappler character in another game, and wanted to see what he could do with the big yellow bear. That's right, KOS was inspired by Melee Donkey Kong.
Well, I guess I'm past that point, but it's like the reason Junebug went DK, kind of just exploring the character.
Melee player Junebug, among others, had been making waves with his performances as Donkey Kong in Super Smash Bros. Melee. A lower mid-tier character whose incredible grab-based punish game was allowing him to seemingly bat above his average in 2023 Melee. Bark the Polar Bear, with his devastating grab game and spitting hyper lariats, is not unlike Melee Donkey Kong to the casual observer, a character who can struggle to find openings, but who can capitalize on them really well.
You back here me, I back here you. You back here combo me, I back here combo you.
Oh, I thought you were gonna jump, but
okay.
Mistex galore from None right now. You do not want to miss the tech against this monkey. The giant punch doesn't kill. Falcon kick is online. And
So it was that earlier in this year, seeking to optimize Bark, KOS had begun finding uses for some of Bark's more obscure moves.
He has this move called the sit punch, where he just like, it's like a dog on the carpet. It's weird. And that move, it used to be considered useless because it doesn't even crouch under things. And it's like, it's really weird and it's slow. But there's merit to using it. There's like two things you could do. For one, that move tracks for almost the entire move, and that move's active for a very long time. So say they're getting up and they're mashing a button, and they got up, they like roll in or out of depth and like the Z-axis, right? Normally what would happen if you did a meaty at that point is your move would miss because they're out of the way pretty much. But the sit punch won't miss because it tracked them. The second thing is once they get hit by it, it hits in such a weird way and launches so low that it's kind of like a tech trap. Unless they're fully ready for it every time, they're gonna either like wake up and then their input gets eaten, or they'll tech it and punish it, but they don't get a big punish off it. Alright, so the other two things are when you squish people with a 2P or a sidestep attack, you don't actually have to get a free hit when they're in wimpy mode. There's like a weird property to getting unflattened. Block is like a frame 1 option, and you can buffer it, but not when you get like big again. It's weird. You have to time it at that point. Either I can just like hit them with another strike, re-flatten them, or I can just grab them pretty much. And the second thing is his barrier walk tracks the entire time, so it follows sidesteps and wake up movement, and I use that a lot against Mystic.
These 3 innovations for Bark were not total game changers, and like most things in Sonic the Fighters, they had counterplay. But any optimizations that could help the polar bear, who is classified by the STF community as being in the game's lowest legal tier, were worth trying. And now, with Mobius Cup 2023, they were about to be put to the test.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mobius Cup.
Hi. Welcome to Mobius Cup 2023.
So this is the biggest bracket we've ever had, like, period. So this is gonna be really cool. I'm excited.
KOS would not be the only person to play Bark in Mobius Cup 2023, however. Mystic Noodle would also feel the polar bear's pull for this tournament, and his bear was ready to go on a warpath of its own.
Bark has a hard time dealing with, but if you're a dedicated Bark player, you're trying to figure out answers to these things all the time, so...
It's definitely not impossible.
Yeah, definitely not impossible. Nice.
It'll be very difficult.
In his first match against Knuckles player Screwy Elk, Mystic's Bark played for speed, using the quirks of the STF engine to turn the lumbering bear into, in some ways, the game's fastest legal character. By abusing early air punches while jumping, Mystic had found that he could reduce the time he spent in lag when landing on the ground, allowing him to act faster after landing from a jump and remain actionable. Mystic had also over time learned to lean heavily into the character's forwards and backwards dashes, the fastest dashes in the game, to space himself precisely out of harm's way.
Bark is like the slowest character in the game, and he makes him look like the fastest. So good at landing these.
Oh, is he gonna do it? Oh, just a little too late, I think. I don't know. It's always hard to predict where your opponent's going to roll and all that stuff. There's so many different factors. Yeah, just ending with a clean barrier punch there.
Without much ado, Mystic Noodle and KOS would both cruise through their first 2 opponents at Mobius Cup 2023. After Mystic defeated Screwy Elk, KOS took out newcomers Joshua Pac-Man and Dr. Hunk. Mystic then defeated Honey player Mike's Row, and secured himself a spot in winner's semis.
Oh, crazy.
He's doing it.
Oh my god, looping the wall. What the hell?
Just one more set win for KOS, and the 2 Barks would be doing battle. But KOS would find unexpected trouble facing off against an Amy player, Dan Volts, in winner's quarters.
KOS and Dan, the match that I think a lot of us are excited to see. Both respectable players. Ooh.
Ooh, those 16 tons. Nice air kick.
Playing an aggressive offensive game and punishing knockdowns with Amy's heads up, Volts was able to take game 1. But KOS would take the second game handsomely, running out of barriers in round 4, but hitting a crucial Biff Baff to seal the game. Whoever won game 3 would now take the set. Dan Volts decided to switch to Espio, but KOS was ready for this change of pace, using Barrier Walk to defend himself from Espio's ranged attacks while closing space. In the end, this Barrier Walk would also give him a game-winning grab, which he used to punish Volts rolling on Wake Up. KOS had won 2-1, and the highest level Bark Mirror of all time was about to begin.
We got a Bark Ditto. Oh,
Bark
shit.
Ditto.
The classic.
It's been so long.
Yeah, we really haven't seen one in a while.
As the set began, Mystic looked all too ready to assert his dominance.
It's fun seeing Bark's limits be worked against Bark's limits. Like, you can't.
Yeah, I totally get
it. Yeah.
Wow, the rounds are so fast from Bark's just insane damage.
Oh yeah, these are gonna go by real quick. Yeah.
Gosh.
What? Okay. Oh. Okay, good grab. Oh, he cuts out his hyper mode there. Oh, he used barrier punch to
Barrier!
stop him.
Oh my god!
Wow. Okay, nice sidestep for the last hit of Bark's jab. Wow, long kick, okay.
I was nervous.
I don't know, whatever. Alright, oh. Good jump over the down P there, I like that.
Oh,
Air kick, good. That was a great grab. Barrier punch, yeah, they're using barrier punch to stop each other's hyper lariat. Yo, you did barrier punch in hyper?
Was that your hyper? It must have been at the last second.
Yeah. Oh.
Interesting.
Well, there's no air hyper for Bark, actually. Okay. Oh, I like that, yeah. Popping hyper and just doing the drop kick because there's no end lag on it.
Yeah, it's pretty smart.
It is. Ooh. I like that. He used the air punch to kind of end his end lag there.
Drop kick is so cool.
Oh,
my goodness, and Chaos takes game 2.
KOS takes game 2? I can't believe it. Wow.
This is
night and day.
For the first time in years, it looked like Mystic Noodle was actually on the back foot. KOS had lost game 1, but taken game 2 without losing a single round. Whoever took the next game would now be sailing to winner's side of Grand Finals.
Okay. Hyper
Oh my
right
goodness.
away.
Such an aggressive start.
Wow, that was like the most aggressive start I've ever seen in this game.
As Bart, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, wow. That was good. Oh, hyper. Oh, no, ends it. Wow.
Mystic made a comeback.
Wimpy again, wow. You're just squishing each other right now, okay. Oh. The wall, he's gonna use the wall, yep, smart.
Going for another
Bark.
timeout.
Yeah, I would say Bark heavily benefits from retreat to the wall.
Oh, okay.
Yep. They both kind of used hyper lariat on each other there, that was pretty good. Ooh. Oh, is he gonna do it? Ah, it's so hard to do. I really can't blame him for missing it, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. 13. One of his better moves. Pretty underutilized, I'd say. Players. I like these barrier walks. I don't know how effective they are, but I feel like he's cooking something with them. Ooh.
No barriers on both of them.
No barriers, yeah, this is it. Fuck.
Last round, no hyper lariat. What's gonna happen?
Yeah, what do you do when you don't have hyper lariat to rely on? Oh man. That was good. I like that. That's a great move. It's quick and
This
it has
is pure raw Bark gameplay right now.
Yeah, this is pure Bark. Oh. Oh my god, the grab!
Oh my god! Chaos takes it!
What?
Oh
I can't believe it!
my god!
Wow. Oh.
Just barely!
Well played. Well played, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
You got me sitting here speechless right now.
It was an extremely close set, but KOS had done it. He had beaten the best player in the world, and he was now on winner's side of Grand Finals. But there was still so much more Sonic the Fighters to be played. As soon as he finished playing KOS, Mystic was set to rematch Mike's Row, the honey player who had soldiered through the loser's bracket, to see who would get to fight KOS in Grand Finals.
I love watching these two fight.
Yeah, me too.
It's already one of my favorite matchups now.
Yeah.
At first, Mystic would take on this task with his still warm Bark, hitting a perfect on Mike's Row in round 1, but losing round 2.
Good grab. Pretty much always gonna get a follow-up off of that grab, unless they get lucky and roll the right way. Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, the hyper wimpy mode, okay.
Mystic had taken a hit, but he would sweep in rounds 3 and 4.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna see Mystic end a lot of rounds with the lariat. That's been kind of his big thing lately, I feel like, with Bark.
It's been a staple of Bark for a long time, so...
This is true, yeah, it really never stopped being a staple, I guess.
Mystic then made an unorthodox decision. He pulled out a fresh character for Game 2, the Dynamite Duck, Bean. This seemed like a risky decision, but even after changing characters, Mystic's momentum looked unstoppable.
Oh, Fierce Attack, let's go.
That's what he was cooking, Fierce Attack.
Soon, Mystic's Bean had taken the first 2 rounds of Game 2. Then, he got juked.
Okay.
Taking advantage of Honey's strong sidestep and glide options, Mike's Row was able to take rounds 3 and 4 of Game 2 and dodge Bean's bombs.
Okay.
It was round 5, and Mystic took a big lead, getting Mike down to just a sliver of health.
Nice. I like the, that's always such a weird kick, but it's pretty sexy.
Underrated.
But all it took was a sidestep into a punch combo and a sidestep into a punch kick for the Honey player to come out ahead. The set was now 1-1, and losers finals would be another best of 3 set. So Mystic Noodle had only one more chance to win. He decided to pull out his ace, Sonic the Hedgehog, the official character of Sonic the Fighters, and get to work.
He considers it his best character, so...
Yeah, so you gotta just believe him, yeah. Oh.
In this final game of Losers Finals, Mystic would unleash one of his newest strategies, Turnaround Punch. By utilizing a move that only Sonic and Tails have access to, Mystic could, at will, turn his character around so his back faced his opponent. While one use of this move in the past had been using it in order to run away from approaching opponents or up walls while in the corner, Mystic had found that Sonic and Tails' Turnaround Punch, an attack only accessible when characters' backs are turned, was a particularly strong option, tracking opponents in 3D space and hitting faster than most attacks in the game. When they turned around, characters would even be able to avoid getting grabbed, giving the position an additional defensive edge. By using this move and Sonic's strong fundamentals, Mystic would soon take Game 3 3-1, securing his place in the loser's side of Grand Finals.
It also has the cheap benefit of, since he's back turned, you can't reversal throw on Luca.
Oh yeah, you're right,
That's
actually.
right.
That's a really good point, yeah.
Mystic takes a set with
Yeah.
Sonic. Our brands, though. KOS and Mystic.
Yes. Oh yes, we have quite a match ahead of us.
While his Sonic looked strong against Mike's Row, Mystic would once again opt to play Bark in Grand Finals.
As
Me
a
too.
reminder, Grand Finals are best of 5.
There's the potential for Mystic to reset the bracket, aka beat KOS in this set, bring him into losers, and then play him again, essentially.
In Winners Finals, Mystic Noodle's Bark and KOS's Bark had gone down to the wire. But in Grand Finals, KOS was no longer playing around. His Bark was finding barrier walk applications even more than in the first set, and winning interactions with Sit Punch. When games ended in timeouts, something Mystic was known for taking advantage of, the timeouts were happening with KOS in the lead.
Oh.
Oh my god, a timeout? This is Bark's big moment here.
Yeah, come on. Bark deserves it, guys. Oh.
Oh my god. They were in sync for a moment.
Yeah. Nice slip
That's a
around
nice
like
slip
that.
around.
Yeah, yeah. That's like the only thing. I don't know. I feel like that, Bark can't get a lot of slip around attacks with his jab. Really. Oh. That was a crazy punish. Wow.
They
Oh
keep
my
going
god.
to timeout.
KOS took Game 1, and by Game 2, he was steamrolling.
It's so close every match. Their spacings. I mean, these are two people who have played this game more than
Yeah.
most people alive. So
Yeah, we're seeing like the culmination of like everything Sonic the Fighters in this grand finals right now. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. These are the two best players of this game. Good grab.
it's impossible to tell how many hours they've labbed this game.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Not
that's
the
a free
bowling ball
punish.
throw.
KOS is good at intentionally landing the grabs he wants to grab and he wants to get them.
KOS might take this tournament next match.
The message was clear. This Bark was an opponent that only Sonic the Hedgehog could handle.
Oh, he's switching to Sonic.
the blue blur was taken off the bench, and the power of Turnaround Punch was about to be unleashed. But would that be enough to recover from a 2-game deficit?
We forgot to say how much this mashup sucks for Bark.
Yeah, it's supposed to, right? Good 1-2 jab, I like that.
Surprised Mystic
that was
hasn't
really
done
good.
the time
Wow.
waster. That was crazy.
Yeah, he got through that wimpy mode without getting hit. Oh, 1 second.
Timeout. Who gets it? The HP was so close.
Round 5. Oh, Mystic loses this. This is over. But if he wins, no pressure, man. I hope you're alright. Oh, perfect.
It's not over yet.
He's making Bark look really good right
Oh,
now.
immediately gets up.
Catch him with the spin dash. I like that. Okay. I think. Okay, yeah. One of Sonic's best like round headers is to just go for side things. Oh. Oh my god! Wow. Damage. I can't. Oh, barrier walk. Oh, it's so clean. What?
I've seen him playing and laughing Bark so much, but I'm singing it now.
I'm stunned, actually. I didn't know he got this good with Bark. Wow. Oh. Okay, alright. Mystic's calming us down, though. He says, this is my round.
This is anyone's game.
It really is. I'm sorry. Oh, nice.
Ooh, good
Ducked it. That was good, yeah. He's getting caught on that turnaround, actually. I'm kind of surprised.
Mystic is trying to squeeze everything he can out of that turnaround, but
He's kind of getting hit, yeah. Ooh, wow.
Despite strong showings from Mystic in games 3 and 4 that had kept him alive in the tournament, in game 5, KOS's Bark seemed impossible to approach head-on, taking rounds 1 and 2 brutally. If Mystic still wanted to win this tournament, he would have to win the next 3 rounds, and then another set. So in round 3, he tried to play keep away after getting a lead in health.
That's a lot of damage. Barrier walk, wow. What is happening? KOS make a barrier walk look like a good move?
I know.
After bringing KOS down to just a sliver of health, and with the clock ticking, Mystic used an evasive wall jump to navigate around the polar bear. But KOS was ready. Using Sit Punch, he was able to track the trajectory of Mystic's wall jump, knocking Sonic over and opening Mystic up to a game-winning hyper combo. It was over.
That's it!
That's it! KOS takes a set, he takes a tournament!
I can't believe it! I didn't even process that, wow.
Oh my god.
KOS, you won the tournament, man. I can't believe it.
So KOS, any winners comments?
Yeah, what do you have to say, dude?
That matchup sucked.
So it was that at long last, Mystic Noodle's streak of tournament victories had come to an end, and KOS had won Mobius Cup in a matchup that few would call even. In this moment, Mystic Noodle was not in anguish. He was relieved. 2.5 years since he had started competing in the game, players had only gotten better. The techniques he had pioneered were now being adopted by the larger player base. And now, after all this growth, he even had a rival. Someone to prove that the game was not as one-dimensional and solved as some may treat it, and that Mystic's discoveries were not the end of STF's competitive story.
Dude, you guys have a little rivalry going on now. I love this.
Good. Been starving for this.
As far as KOS was concerned, it was just another day. Another session in a game that both players had a lot of passion for. Today, things had swung in his direction. On another day, they might have not.
I don't think this showing really says that much about me, honestly.
Something had driven this player to rise to the top of the Sonic the Fighters scene, but it wasn't the glory. So, what was it?
Because it's Sonic the Fighters. I don't know, man. I feel like that's a cop-out answer, but it's just like, I just play games to play them.
Do you guys got anything else you want to add before we call it quits here?
Sonic the Fighters.
Sonic the Fighters.
Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you liked it, give me a like, a comment, maybe even subscribe or hit the bell. This was a massive project for me, and a bit of a gamble for me compared to the Super Smash Bros. Melee content I usually do. But I've really wanted to tell the story about this scene for this game that I think is cool for a while now, and I think if you really want to do something, like, you should do it. If you want to see more stuff like this by me, I have a pretty nice video about Super Smash Bros. Melee Donkey Kong from earlier this year that goes all over the character's rise to prominence in that game from 2022 into early 2023. And if you want to play Sonic the Fighters online with other people, I've got a few links in the description of this video on how to set the game up on the RPCS3 emulator. It's not as hard to do as it sounds like it would be. Finally, thank you to Polymath, Al, KOS, Trukuu, Mystic Noodle, Joshua Pacman, Guile Winquote, Rags8, Mad Beach, Giza, Lodzamone, Justin Signer, Raine Rudnick, Resprit, Kadence and Nona for various forms of assistance that I got with this video. Oh, and biggest Sonic fan. Oh, and Tiniest Turtles, the absolute GOAT. If you like my work, you can support it on Ko-fi and get access to new work ahead of time and the occasional bonus content. And you can also go to my Teespring if you want and purchase this cool ape shirt.
Man, fuck Tails.
Your words, not mine.